Yeah. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. OnChain Revolution, you're not bullish enough. Every day we steady looking at the market, and we gon' tell you how to get started. Chain abstraction, fear and greed index, always looking at price action. Roll call in advance, you don't even gotta mention. I swap it in the decks, you're not bullish enough. Traded in the segs, you ain't trenching enough. We do that market recap. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to rehab. Shizzy and Yagobi. OnChain Revolution, network in the art. Every day we go live, baby, you know where we are. We mention all the networks and the crypto. Need some more liquidity. Flipping and trading is the recipe. Too many protocols to count. I get high and I'm never coming down. Number go up, then I'ma say peace. Yeah, you thought that I was gonna leave. Yeah, we just getting started, man. OnChain Revolution. Every day. Bring the beat back. Eyes everywhere, gotta be careful with volatile meme coins. You can get some bread if you round trip it, then you gon' regret. All this information in my head. BYOR, touch grass instead. Nobody really knows how it's gonna end up today. Somebody gotta tell you what's happening today. I don't let the money change me no way. OnChain Revolution, here to stay. Yeah, say I'm Sage, man. Voodoo 2 on the way. Yeah. Nicky's. Yeah. OnChain Revolution. OnChain. Hey, OnChain Revolution. Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recaps and I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, change. Yeah, send it to the deck. Sell it through the stack. Order knows the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to read. If you end up bearish, gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge. Look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live on the OnChain Hour, and this one is going to be explosive. Just like I truly believe Bitcoin's price will be in the next 10 days. Yes, I believe that this 104, 105 where we're at right now, we're not going to be here very long. We took that nice dip down to 101, but guys, we're going to power through. We're going to power through all the way back up to all-time high and past it. I mean, that's what the M2 money supply is telling us. That's what we truly believe here at OnChain Revolution. We believe that Bitcoin is going to have an insane summer. Yes, you might say, hey, yeah, we don't have insane summers in crypto. We don't have this is something that doesn't happen. Well, this time's different. All right. I mean, I hate to say it, but it does feel like this time is different. You're seeing BlackRock come in and just buy a crap load of ETH, which tells me they're preparing for alt season. We're prepared for an alt season. We're actually prepared for a dog season here, right? We're prepared for the runes and the Bitcoin ecosystem to really start running with everything else. I'm excited for this upcoming couple months here. But right now we have Bitcoin sitting at 104.9. We got ETH sitting at 2,500, a little over. Dog sitting at 0.0044. And, you know, it's looking really strong. Magic Eden, 87 cents after the Trump news came out like earlier in the week. And, you know, then the Trump sons were like, nah. So I feel bad for Magic Eden. I feel like they're very undervalued. I do love buying ordinals. But yeah, let's jump into today's show. Bringing my partner here as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's going on, man? How you feeling today? How's everything? You ready for the weekend?
Yes, I am, man. I feel great, dude. Look, yesterday's Bitcoin price shocked me even a little bit. I think it wicked all the way down to even like 100,000. I said, oh man, please don't go under this, because this is where I start to get a little nervous. But we're starting to see a pretty strong V-shaped recovery on the hour chart. So the short term, shorter time frames here looks okay. Like we're kind of back to where we were yesterday, where we started. I think, however today plays out, Sunday is going to be the day that I really try to look forward to in terms of what the sentiment reset's going to be like. And typically we'll get that like midday or towards the end of that day to wrap up the week, right? So I think we're okay though. Like I said, I'm not going to go into panic mode. That's something I'm intentionally making sure that I don't do, because I'm going to continually follow what we've been following. That's the M2 global money supply, right? And it hasn't broken yet. I don't want to keep saying that because I don't want to jinx it. But, you know, I feel like it's led us here, and I'm going to keep following that as long as it keeps staying true.
Yeah, and look at the strength from yesterday. You saw, you know, like you just said, you saw almost 100K, and now we're back over just over at 105 right this second, right? So the strength right now is just showing me that someone big is buying, whether it's Elon, whether it's some other company, but someone right now is really, really buying it. You don't shoot up 5,000, you don't shoot up 5% on a $2 trillion asset without $200 million rolling into Bitcoin this morning. Right, in the last 12 hours, right? It doesn't happen. And that's showing you we're seeing $200 million of inflows if you're up 5% on a $2 trillion asset. Like this is something that I truly believe we're going to see some huge announcements and headlines, because Bitcoin is very headline driven right now. And I truly believe we're about to see some massive headlines come out. But this could be just be Michael Saylor buying for his Monday tweet, right? So that could be it as well.
That could be it, but has strategy gone up in price, right? Usually, typically, it has to be showing some strength before you can leverage that.
Well, it's
but
it's the STRD IPO.
Oh, it's the new one too, right? I forgot
Yeah,
he launched the new ticker as well. Look, let's just kind of stay on course, right? That's what I'm doing until I see a breakdown from the fundamentals, and I just haven't seen that yet. So
yeah. 100%. Shout out to Or Doucher is here. Like every single day. Shout out to my guy where he said dog style trader. Best intro. Thank you, sir. He said first. No. There's a bunch of comments on YouTube. YouTube actually allows you to comment with as soon as the thing is uploaded. So you have comments from all the way from yesterday. But yeah, sorry, you don't make the first as first, but you're the first comment on X for sure. But let's jump into today's headline. So our main topic today is Bitcoin's June trajectory. Bullish momentum on seasonal slowdown, or seasonal slowdown. I kind of what I hit on a little bit, right? I'm thinking we're gonna have a really extremely bullish summer. The past summers are kind of saying no, Shizzy, you're wrong. But how do you feel about this? Bullish momentum or seasonal slowdown?
So I think not necessarily both at this very moment. At that bullish momentum, if you zoom out, I think we're still there. But I think in the short term, maybe like the next week and a half, we still deal with a little bit of this chop, right? Swinging between 110 all the way down to possibly it looks like 100K, right? But that's okay, because we got to remember we just came out of probably the most bullish month of the year. I would say May was, right? And so with that much bullishness in terms of buy pressure, there has to be a little cool off period. And I think that's what we're going through right now. We saw it in November, whenever Bitcoin tailed the M2 money global money supply as well. There was a break about a week and a half that seemed like, okay, this little run up from November is cooled down. We're probably done here. But no, after that week and a half, 2 weeks, it continued on for another 2 weeks. I think the continue on here lasts for probably more like a month, getting to that 120 to 130. This is just speculation on my part, but following the M2 money supply. And then that's probably whenever we see a pullback cool off for the rest of the summer, and people think, okay, you know, we're going back down. But I think back down then we're talking about 110, between 110 and 115 kind of range. And we'll see what that looks like. Obviously, this is all speculative. We can't tell the future, guys. If we could, we'd probably be having hundreds of millions of dollars from the lotto. So
yeah. So you're basically saying with this liner here showing, you know, 135 back down to like 120, right? I mean, that's basically exactly what this is showing here.
That could be a scenario, yeah.
So I mean, let's just say this is shooting for I mean, this is mid-June, right? You go straight up, we're sitting between, you know, here. So this is destined to happen. But you have to remember, we've seen stuff like this, right?
Yeah.
To where, you know, drop really bad and it just kind of goes, just does what it's doing. So you could definitely see something. The more and more we get into June, the more and more I think that we're going to see something like this,
the trend line
back here, just like up there, you know, reaching 120 by July, right? Which is still absolutely amazing, but for me, that's worst case scenario. I think 120 by July is worst case scenario, while 135 to 150 is best case scenario for July.
Yeah. And then that's where I think like July will probably be like, you know, part bullish and part kind of recovery, right? Or pullback on the tail end. But like I said, who knows? Maybe we go into a risk on environment, right?
Yeah.
In July, and that changes things a bit. Because look, at the end of the day, that M2 money supply is still on the way up in July. I mean, we have a lot of time. It's really extended compared to the Q4 of last year. Q4 of last year, we got like that maybe a quarter, 30% of what we're looking at here. And so we have, you know, 2 more legs, it looks like, to go up here. And to me, that makes sense when people are calling 250 by the end of the year, right? So we'll see.
And getting to this 190 by September, it should be easy to get to 200, 250, 300 by December, right? Especially if, I mean, we always have a very bullish October, November, but let's just say the summer is bullish. Does October, November go through the opposite? Right?
The problem is a week in crypto is like a month in regular world time, right? So like our time is skewed, and that's why like right now people are like not feeling extra positive, you know, because we've seen this pullback. But you're talking about if we get another chop week, then people are gonna be like, oh, like I'm tired of this. But it's been 2 weeks, bro, after like the best month we've had all year. So I think we should be like, okay, let's take those little dubs, and then after 2 weeks continue marching up. You know, I think that's fine, but it's all about, you know, perspective and being in the right perspective, and also not being so impulsive based on short-term movement, because that's what gets you in trouble.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and before the show today, you know, I was kind of saying how like this summer feels like last summer. Last summer, for anyone who wasn't here, if you were smart and you sold in May and went away, you know, it was terrible. Like we would come in every day, there would be no news, no news whatsoever. It was very boring. It was very like there wasn't much at all. But you know, we got through that, you know, and then had an amazing fall. But this week right here kind of felt like that, because that's how it would be. I remember telling you at that point, I just want Bitcoin to drop. Like I just want something to happen.
I was like, no, like, I don't want that.
But we were between 45 and 60K for the entire summer. And we'd go up to 49, we get excited, and then we drop back down to like 44, and then head into the 50s and get the 59, get excited, then drop back. It was tough, and I really hope that doesn't repeat, but I don't feel like it really is, right? I don't feel like it really is. So
yeah, and remember, we didn't have the money supply on our side during that stretch, but now we do. So
that's what this was, right?
Yep,
Very choppy.
exactly.
It was choppy the whole time, but this time we have that upward momentum, and we did have that back in November. I feel like we're like right here.
Exactly.
You know, and then we're about to see this, and I feel like that's where we're at right now, and we're about to see some amazing upward momentum to actually drive this summer to 200K.
Exactly. And when we say it feels different this time, we're not just saying it like everybody does in crypto. We have some data here to back that up, right? So last summer we didn't have the supply kind of pulling Bitcoin up. This time we do. So we'll see if it makes a difference.
And I'm noticing, I don't know if you're noticing, it could be just a dog army being super strong, but I'm noticing more people on X than last summer. I'm noticing that a lot of people didn't sell in May and go away, right? Can we kind of throw that out the window for this year anyway?
Hey, I'm all on board for that. Let's throw that shit out and leave it.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it. All right. So we had some economic data today. We'll jump into that. So U.S. job growth slows, but beats expectations in May with 139,000 new jobs. It was projected to be like, I think like 110. So that's good, but we are down from last year. So we're down about like 100,000 jobs. So we have slowed, but we're still beating expectations. That's not very good. And then the other economic news that came in today was U.S. unemployment rate held steady at 4.2%. And met with economics expectation. So, what do you take by this stuff right here, the job growth and the unemployment rate?
So I was in the I was in the mindset that we had bad numbers. What, a week ago was it about jobs, and that's what kind of got people panicking a little bit. Was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that?
Well, yesterday the not, I think it was the
non-farmer. Okay.
Yeah. And today was so every week we get the jobs data, and then every month we get the non.
So this is kind of a better news than what the non-farming jobs report was giving us, right? So this is kind of like a balance of that. So that's good news. Even though we are down from the previous year, I think this is okay because it beats the expectations, and that's what these pundits, right? These economists, that's what they go off of, is expectations. Did it exceed? Did it beat? You know, that kind of assessment, or breaking down just the data and stuff. And So I'm okay with what this is telling us. Now, look, there's this big argument, and we can get into that later if you have a headline. I'm not going to dive deep into it, but obviously there's this kind of situation happening with the big, beautiful bill, right? Now, one camp thinks that, like, okay, if it gets through, there's that capital in there, and that can, their whole strategy is to stimulate the economy to be able to get more GDP to pay off the debt a little bit quicker. The other camp saying that's just actually going to add to the deficit. And, there's no guarantee for the GDP. But let's say that they are right. Then this can, bring up the job growth in the next 3 to 6 months, probably 6 months down the road, right? You can start to see noticeably that our economy is doing better, job growth is growing, that kind of thing. We'll see if that actually plays into it.
Yeah, 100%. But if you wanted to like stimulate the economy, the best way to do it is drop rates, because what happens, that allows these big businesses to go in to the banks and get loans. What do you do with those loans? You create jobs with those loans. You do things to your building. Maybe you add more machines, or you add, exactly, you invest in the company on, but they're not going to do that at a 3.4 or 5% interest rate, because then they got to beat that, right? But they will do it at a 2 or a 3 because it just seems like less money to pay back. Ooh. And obviously, tax incentives and stuff like that. But I mean, you're double your interest rate at this point. They all want to wait, but like if you drop it a whole point, like Trump said this morning, then your people are going to go in and they're going to take loans out and do things to their company. They're actually going to create jobs. So
and a lot of them, what they do is they actually invest with it to kind of quickly pay off their loan, right? Some, there's a sector of people, they don't want to use their own capital. They never do. That's the thing, right? Whether they're buying real estate or they're buying, stocks or whatever their strategy is, it's always to use the people's money, because that's what it is at the end of the day. But if they could get down to 1 to 2%, that'd be absolutely crazy, right? Don't you think? Because I mean, they said we would never see those type of rates again. But look, if you can cut down 2%, that's a ton of money that they're saving on interest, right? So
the government too, because you got to remember the national debt now is $37 trillion. The government, whatever the interest rate is, the government has to pay that, right? So that's the whole.
It's a big payment.
Yeah, so they got to pay that as well. So they're and right now $37 trillion. I mean, dude, in 2020 we were at like 26. Like we're up 25% on the debt. Like if this doesn't scream buy Bitcoin, I don't know what does. And I just can't wait for the next Elon tweet that says, I'm done with the dollar.
What if it never comes?
I think it comes. Dude, I think it comes. If it doesn't come, if he doesn't tweet that, then I think you're right about the cahoots thing that we were talking about earlier. So I don't want to get into that, but if he doesn't tweet about Bitcoin,
where's my tinfoil hat? No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so trying to get into that. So Trump says the U.S. could save billions and billions by cutting Elon's government subsidies and contracts. So yesterday, and I hate to keep bringing up bad news, but yesterday, we all felt the market crash. And if you're somebody who doesn't pay attention to the market, but you're like, hey, why is my dog down, or why is my Bitcoin down? It's because of Trump and Elon getting into a pissing contest, one through Truth Social, the other one on X, and then Trump has CNBC and all that as well. But Trump came out and he's basically saying that Elon has Trump derangement syndrome, and Elon came out and said that the bill was, the big beautiful bill was passed in the middle of the night and he never had a chance to read it. Trump then comes back and says that the reason Elon's mad isn't because of the spending, it's mad because this bill cuts all of his government subsidies. I don't know who to believe here. I'm kind of in Trump's camp a little bit for the fact that Elon, didn't get a chance to read the bill, and then he is being told, hey, like, we're gonna lose a whole bunch of money when they're cutting these subsidies in this bill. And Elon's like, no, there's a whole bunch of spending in there. I don't know. What do you think?
You kind of know my Yagobi theory, one of the Yagobi's theories out of the millions that I have. So look, I'm gonna get to that a little bit later. So if this is face value, then I think this is just really kind of sad. It looks really housewives type of situation where they're just putting all the dirty laundry out there, right? I mean, there's some big accusations in there. So for me, I'll go back to kind of my conspiracy theory. I just feel like this might be something that's kind of being planned out a bit. I know a lot of people were like,
Yeah.
what? I don't know. But if you think about it, the shots that have been taken, they're like gut punches, dude. Like, you know what I mean? So to
Yeah.
me, I think it would be not smart for someone like Elon to do that to the current administration, because now he has a target on his back, right? And so to me, I feel like I would not be shocked if Elon is by Trump's side whenever he's signing the big beautiful bill into law, if it gets passed. So that's just me. I'm the conspiracy theorist out of us two,
Yeah.
for sure. But that's what I think. I don't know.
I don't know, but when you're the richest man in the world, you don't give a shit. You don't give a shit. You're like, I'll move it all to El Salvador.
He was given lots of shits in November, because he knew that if the other side won, he was in
but
he'd be in a
at
lot
this
of trouble.
point, he might be just like, F America, I'm moving to El Salvador. What happens if SpaceX, Tesla, and everything just moves to El Salvador?
Well, then I guess.
I mean, it's not that far from Texas at this point, right? I mean,
it's not a jump, skip, and a hop.
I mean, it's the same distance from California as to El Salvador.
True.
Same distance.
Yeah. Look, I mean, he could do that. So some of the people, I think it was Block, for the audience that's from the Bitcoin ecosystem, you probably know who Block is, but he said it would be so funny if Elon said, I'm moving my Tesla factories to Canada. He would never do that, though.
Well, they would just tariff Canada, right? So they would just be like, all right, well, just jump the tariffs on Canada. So, but yeah, moving along here. Last thing on Trump media officially files for the S3 registration statement with the SEC. It's a $2.3 billion Bitcoin treasury deal. Trump media wants to become an ETF. They know that they can't be profitable being, a social media company. So they came in the crypto hard, and now they're basically trying to be BlackRock here with an ETF. So I wonder if this thing gets used, but with Trump's name on it, people will probably buy it. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, this is just another kind of way for them to monopolize. It seems like they're really trying to be the family of crypto, which there isn't currently one that's like a family, like you have like the family, the Murdochs with Fox. You have like the, all those, what was it, the Bloomberg, that whole thing. Now it seems like they're really trying to be that, which is smart in my opinion, because that's generational. Obviously they already kind of are generational, but it just takes them to another level. So stay away from the meme coin stuff. Just continually separate yourself from that. Keep doing stuff like this.
What? Oh, you mean, okay, yeah, but to them, they never jumped into me.
But they clarified it. They clarified it. That's what I mean, though. You know what I mean? Keep that distancing themselves from that, and that's exactly.
100%. All right, so this is really interesting. So ETH flows around 2,600 Bitcoin were sold, and 4,330 ETH were bought on June 5th. That was yesterday during that craziness, right? So BlackRock came in and they were selling Bitcoin, and they were buying Ethereum. They bought 13,310 ETH yesterday. So this is BlackRock ETF, right? Their people are coming in. Every time you see ETH jump below 2,500, it's getting bought up so quick back to 26. It just shows you that a huge accumulation is happening right now with ETH. And that is a big deal if we want to have any alts kind of have success in the summer, right? If Bitcoin, we've seen it before, Bitcoin goes up by itself, everything kind of lags it completely. We're finally seeing ETH kind of take that and kind of roll with it.
I think it was the beginning of this year. We did see some like inflows with BlackRock and ETH, but they were sporadic and they weren't consistent. But this is starting to become a consistent theme here. I would say the past 2 to weeks to a month, right? Is how much more of this type of evidence do you need to see to say, okay, alt season incoming? We're talking about the next month or two, because they're preparing for something, right?
I'm sold. Like, I'm already in. I think that, this isn't something that's brand new. It's something we've been reporting on for a while. Bitcoin's being sold down by BlackRock. We saw them send a whole bunch to Coinbase Prime, but that's getting eaten up by someone else, right? Because you're not seeing Bitcoin. So, they were buying Bitcoin at like 40 to 60,000, right? And now they're selling it and they're buying Ethereum, in my opinion, dirt cheap at 2,500. Right, I think Ethereum's going to 19,000. I think there's a lot of people that would agree with me in the next year or so. So I'm thinking BlackRock, and I think what BlackRock's going to do is when ETH jumps to 7,000,
they're going to dump.
8,000, You're gonna dump that, and then what are they gonna do? They're gonna
Go
buy
back into
Cardano
Bitcoin?
ETF. They're gonna buy Polkadot ETF. They're gonna buy the
Start
XRP
spreading
ETF,
in
right?
July.
They're doing exactly what everyone else does. They've studied the game. Their Aladdin system's telling them, hey, starts with Bitcoin, goes to ETH, it goes to large caps, and then who knows? They might be buying dog towards the end of the cycle before they dump everything and go back into Bitcoin.
Dog, go to the moon. Yeah,
Dog go to
look,
BlackRock.
yeah, I mean, you had some great points there. BlackRock,
Yeah.
you know, just kind of from an institutional level, they're the ones that are setting the timeline, saying, hey,
Yeah.
we know that you degens were the ones that were kind of like, you know, setting the timelines the previous cycles.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was huge whales that would kind of probably the centralized exchange entities and stuff. But BlackRock's like, there's a new sheriff in town, you know, and we control shit. You know, and so maybe this is kind of that first indicator to say in your thesis of buying into the several ETFs that will get approved in July is just plays out perfectly for that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like the institutional alt season, right? At that point, and hopefully it trickles down to everybody.
No, it definitely will. You got to remember, there's a lot of people who hold those large cap alts, and what do they do when they feel rich? They'll take their initial out. And you know, they're not like the smartest people in the world. We're like send it to their bank account. They're gonna get more degen with it, right? They're gonna be like, okay, where can I take the
house money?
I had $4,000 in ADA. My $4,000 is now 8. I'm pulling my $4,000 out and throwing that into a meme coin, right? That's what you're gonna see, and that's the explosion of an alt season. Will that last 6 months? Maybe. Will that last a year? Maybe not.
6
right?
months.
So
give me 3.
well, I think it's 6 months. I mean, what we've gone through is 6 months is from like, let's say July to December, we get a massive. I mean, that's very normal. Very normal.
Man, but that would be Christmas every month, especially with what we've gone through, right? So like that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to be grateful if for like give me 3 months of that, I will have hate it.
That's the thing. So 3 months, we're gonna feel like we're doing really well. But then you have a lot of people staring at us saying, "Oh wow, I don't want to miss that." They're gonna come in October, right? They're gonna be like, "Okay," and then they're gonna be dumping money in, and you know that's when you potentially want to start taking profits. When you see your neighbor talking about potential Dogecoin, or you know what I mean. Once you see that happening, then you're gonna be like, "Okay, let me start taking profits here towards the end of this year." And who knows, we might have a dip going
at the same time.
January.
You're like, "Yeah, keep buying, new neighbor." No, just kidding.
Well, you to be honest with them, just be like, hey, listen, like I bought last year, so I'm probably gonna be taking profits at this point.
I'm in phase 1. You're in phase 4.
No, well, that's the thing. It's like it takes 4 years to understand the markets, right? You need a full cycle in your belt, and if that's their first cycle, I mean, we all paid our dues, right? We all paid our education. Education is very expensive.
I mean, I wish I didn't
and
have
we've been paying.
But
I mean, but it makes you a better investor when you lose money. Like if you came into the market and you only won, you'd be a terrible investor because you'd be buying.
I mean, everybody else will think you are amazing.
I know, but
like, all I do is win, no matter what. And
well, look at James Wynn.
Investor.
Look at James Wynn, right? He only won this entire time. Now he's only losing, right? So. All right. Speaking of James Wynn, trying to jump into him. James Wynn was liquidated 3 times in a row, losing a total of 379 Bitcoin. This guy had one of the greatest ups in history, and then one of the. I mean, this is like Goodfellas, where it's like the first half of the movie is amazing, and the second half of the movie is just terrible.
Classic,
you know what
movie,
I mean?
Though.
Like
classic.
Yeah,
movie.
I'm just saying money wise, like they all got super rich, and they all just like killed each other at the end, right? So
and God, my conspiracy hat just keeps coming on. But like, the thing about like the James Wynn and putting a target on him like so blatantly, and then use my Hyperliquid referral link and all these things. I just But if it is true, everything that we see is happening, this has got to be the biggest like idiotic play. And I know you're gonna come back and say, well, he has 300,000 followers now and he paid for those, but if it's true, then that means he paid. Yes, he won $96 million. Well, not in his bank account or anything, but like on paper, which he had access to at any moment. But like, I would never pay $96 million for 300,000 followers, dude. 96 million. I mean, maybe I'd throw a couple of million or something.
I mean, it wasn't intentional. That's the thing. It wasn't intentional. He was loving the hype. He was loving the following. He was loving life. He was just loving it. You know what I mean? He was McDonald's, right? So he was just like he was being that, and then it just went the other way. So it wasn't intentional to pay that, but that's what he ended up paying.
Well, at least he gets.
He can make
I guess,
he can make one tweet and make $2 million. He can say, "Hey guys, I'm buying dog," and someone could just pay him $2 million.
But that doesn't last. I feel like that doesn't last as long, does it? I mean, can you?
I think he can easily make 100 million with his, because he has 300,000 real followers. Like there's a lot of people on X who have 200,000-300,000, but they're all fake.
Yeah. So I mean, like he did get $1 million donation wallet address, right? Like, and he was like, "Send me USDC if you want to see this continue." And then, yeah, I mean, we participated.
You know what I mean?
Just because we think something's coming back.
Let's just talk about like, I know I said I'm $15, right? But like let's talk about like Moonpig, for instance, right? I'm curious. I'm sure that thing shot up. I'm sure he made like millions of dollars off that alone. And if he dropped a new meme coin, hey guys, I'm starting my own meme coin, he would make $100 million easy. You know what I mean? Especially if he did a pump fund, or like one of those things where he makes all fees. I mean, he would easily make millions and millions of dollars. Right?
Well, I think Pump Fund actually pays creator fees now too. So if you launch it, you get like a percentage from it.
Or let's just say he started that he went on that site. What's that site? Believe app. Right? He was like, hey guys, I'm making my own Hyperliquid. I need funding. Buy this. He would make $100 million.
Yeah, he would probably crush it there. I think. Yeah,
and that's because he has 340,000 people eyes on him every single tweet. Right. So
I just like still not worth that much money. Though.
It's not worth long term. I think it is. Short term, no. Right. So I think he'll have 1 million followers by the end of this bull market if he
keeps doing. Yeah, I agree. He's definitely on track for that.
Yeah, but he's helping another company. He's helping Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid topped all major chains in gross profit for May of 2025, surpassing Tron, Ethereum, Base, and Solana. Think about that, dude. Just think about what he has done for Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid's at $72 million in profit in May. May.
You don't think there's some sort of collaboration there behind the scenes?
I mean, if I was Hyperliquid, I would be like, yo, like, let's keep doing this. But like, I don't know if originally.
I mean, it's bringing a ton of attention to Hyperliquid. Yeah. You're right, but I don't know.
I mean, look, dude. So ETH, Base, Solana. Well, we all know what goes on Tron, right? It's a lot of Justin Sun doing his thing, but like still, I mean, you're beating Ethereum, Base, and Solana. And don't get me wrong, I love Tron. I just don't know anyone to use it.
I mean, it's Justin Sun's buying and selling to himself. I don't care. That's impressive.
Yeah,
like 58.3 million. However, he's doing the TVL thing. That's
Tron
impressive.
gas fees are over $20 a transaction.
Why?
It's just the change that's being used.
That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to Hyperliquid though. I'm curious what the volume of their perps platform is compared to the Binance's and stuff. Binance still number one, right, in terms of perps volume?
Yeah, they will always be number one because they're centralized and it's just easier for people.
Yeah, but I think Hyperliquid is number two though against like other centralized exchanges.
Think about how hard it is to get on Hyperliquid, right? First off, I need a VPN. That's my one.
Yeah.
2, I need to buy Ethereum on Arbitrum, right? And then I need to send
USDC
it to USDC. You can deposit Ethereum too, though, right?
Maybe, but it always gives me the option of USDC.
USDC. Okay, so I buy USDC on Coinbase. I send it to my Arbitrum wallet, and then I deposit it.
Yeah,
that's not many people can do that, right? If you can do that, or even want to learn how to do that. But if you can do that, you're a level 3 crypto user. Most people in the world, 90% of the people in crypto are I call them level 1s, and that's people who buy and sell on exchanges. That's it, right? So the 10% of all of crypto, of all the crypto holders, all the crypto users, can do this, and not to say probably only 4% of them are actually doing it. So that's absolutely huge for something like Hyperliquid.
Yeah, it is. It is. They're doing their thing, man. And whether they have a deal with James Wynn or not, it's working. Whatever they're doing.
Could the 72 million though be all James Wynn's liquidations?
Maybe.
It's still fun. It's fun to talk about, fun to think about. But let's kind of get into something not so fun. So on June 6, 2025, Alex Labs, a Bitcoin-based DeFi platform, experienced a significant security breach, marking its second major hack in just over a year. While Alex Lab has not officially confirmed the exact figures, community member Crusader_BTC reported that the attackers may have stolen 62 Bitcoin, $8 million, stacks, $119 million, Alex 1.7 million in Tether. So yeah, so 1.7 million in Tether, 119 million Alex tokens, $8 million stacks, and 62 Bitcoin. So I'm not exactly sure if these numbers are correct, but it does seem like it was a pretty major hack. 62 Bitcoin is yeah.
I mean, major hack for the Bitcoin ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
8 million plus. That's what you're looking at, about almost 10 there, and then I don't know how much 119 stacks is, but stacks has taken a. I think they've taken a pretty big dump since then, because I think this is.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, they're at 67 cents right now. So dang, they do. That's a lot of money. 119 million stacks. Ugh. Yeah,
It's
dude,
bad, but they had about I think they had about $20 million in TVL that Stacks had total. I mean that Alex had total. And it's just funny because just recently they put out a DeFi Llama post like Stacks is growing in DeFi, and Alex was number 2, and now Alex potentially lost like half of the TVL in a hack.
Okay. So let me ask you this question, because I want to be fair with this. Okay, Sui just had a hack. It was substantial. They've kind of moved. They've handled it very well from a PR perspective. They've gotten their community to move forward from that. I think Stacks did an amazing job the first round that Alex got hacked, in terms of PR. But this is number 2, right?
Yeah.
And also, like, how do you feel about the blame here? Obviously, like, Alex it's the second time that Stacks is like, it's Alex both times, so are you putting the blame and the, I guess, like, vulnerability on Alex itself, or are you gonna hold Stacks accountable as well? Like, how do you handle this kind of from a perspective?
Goes back to the saying, like, screw me once, shame on me. Screw me twice, shame on you, right? So it's kind of like, I think, if you mess up twice, like, this is unforgivable. Like, you can't let this keep going. You can't let this keep happening. If I was
But
Stacks,
is it Alex, or
I think
is it Stacks' problem?
it's 100% Alex. Well, it becomes Stacks' problem if they get screwed a third time. Right. So I do think they have to take some of the more blame this time.
You can't kick them out though, right? It's decentralized network, so
you
can't
can
be like,
well, you don't gotta kick them out, but you can take them off the website. You can tell people, hey,
stop promoting them.
Stop promoting them. Stop giving them stacks. Stop filling the TVL. Stop, because Stacks is a big one, probably one of the largest TVL providers, right? On Stacks, right? So that's probably the Stacks. What's that called? Foundation.
X, yeah.
So they're probably one of the biggest things. So I think you have to walk away from Alex at this point. I do.
I mean, look, it's not. It's the fact that 119 million stacks have been compromised, right?
Yeah.
So how can they mitigate this damage? Because you're talking about, if I'm sure some of that has been sold down already, right? But let's just say at the going rate of 67 cents right now, that's 70-something million dollars of stacks. It's going to hurt the price. Of course it is. You know what I mean?
Well, the exchanges have stopped it.
Okay, so they stopped it.
These got sent to exchanges, Binance, OKX, and Bybit. They've basically stopped it, and they're going to send it back to the stat. Once they make sure that everything's good, they're going to send it back to the foundation. So
okay. So again, it's obviously like how they handle what's been compromised, right? On their stat. For me, if I'm Stacks, I just care about the stacks at this point.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think you're right, man. Like, at this point, you kind of have to probably sever ties and from a co-promotional standpoint. And like, this is not anything personal towards anybody. And Alex goes far back with ordinals and where we kind of started our coverage, but at the end of the day, like, this is a big, this is a big slip up. This is the second one.
The problem is Stacks doesn't use EVM. They don't use SVM, right? They have their own thing. So you don't know if this is a problem with the program language either, right? So
that's where I was kind of like,
that's
why I was kind of like, okay, is this more of a, how much blame do you put on Stacks as a protocol? But like, I have a feeling it has something to do with multi-sigs again, because I think, that's because they have that with their LPs or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Got a dive deeper.
Got me thinking too that they had their upgrade last year. Could this be you really didn't see this happening before that upgrade, right? So who knows? All right, let's kind of get into the crypto fear and greed here. So last week we're at a 61. Yesterday we're at a 55. We're about, I want to say about 20% lower than where we were yesterday's 55. Not 100% like to the number, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say 43 or 45.
Yeah.
45.
Dude, you basically hit it on the head there. 46. But I mean, I didn't give you a softball that time. That was a fastball. I wasn't down the middle either. So yeah, shout out to you. Great job there. 46 on today. I feel 46 after yesterday. I do feel a little bit bullish today, but as of 8 o'clock of last night, 00 UTC, I'm feeling that I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, we were like in close to 70, or maybe we passed 70. Were we like a week ago?
Almost
week and a half ago?
80s.
Yeah. So this is what we mean when we say 1 week in crypto is like a month, because like the sentiment can switch like that, and we're talking
Very
about
quick.
a couple of days. It's down 15 points, right? So compared to last week, so it's a big difference.
Big difference. All right, let's kind of jump into that Bitcoin price action brought to you guys by Artura.finance. Artura, they are a leverage trading platform. Think Hyperliquid, guys. That's why we're so bullish on them. You're seeing what Hyperliquid's doing right now, and we think that Artura.finance could do the exact same thing. They are not live yet, but they will be going live very soon on mainnet, and they're choosing a Bitcoin L2 to do so. That Bitcoin L2 is going to be Hemi. Hemi is backed by Binance. It's going to be a huge deal because when you're playing on Artura, you're actually, farming your ARA token, but not only that airdrop, you're also farming potentially that Hemi airdrop. But wait, there's more. They're also going to be potentially, maybe even first, being one of the first platforms to launch on Botonix. Botonix is another L2 on Bitcoin. They're known as the Spider Chain. They're saying they're not going to have a token, but they're figuring out other ways to incentivize that ecosystem. So by playing on Artura.finance on Botonix, you guys are going to be able to potentially earn big on Botonix, and that's potentially even losing money on Artura. You potentially are gaining and air farming a couple airdrops. So check out everything out at Artura.finance. Check them out on Twitter as well. I am very bullish on this team.
Absolutely. And let's say you miss out on getting in earlier on Doggo to the Moon, you're going to have an opportunity to take leverage for tokens like that, right? So Doggo to the Moon on their platform, going to be exciting. But before we get into the Bitcoin price action, guys, if you could help us out as always, because you guys are awesome on the YouTube side, smash that like, subscribe to the channel, and turn your notifications on so you know when we go live on the X side. Let's share the space, guys. Let's get as many people, normies, into the space so we can onboard as many people to our industry. Same thing on the abstract side, guys, if you wouldn't mind. But let's get into some Bitcoin price action, starting here with the hour chart, right? So we did have a really nice V-shaped recovery here on the hour chart. Let's see what happens right now, because we are losing a little bit of steam, as you can see here on the MACD. It's getting a little exhausted, but we are technically still in buy pressure. But let's see if we can continue this momentum. If we do, we can maybe break out of this, kind of reach where we were yesterday before we started this downtrend, right? So right now we're kind of right under 105. We're sitting at 104,760. But another thing that could happen, let's say this does exhaust, we could kind of form a double bottom here, but that's okay. And it actually would probably scare people, right? But if we do double bottom, we will find our way back up eventually, right? So that could be a way it plays out there. But let's kind of see, how the rest of today plays out, right? So, I mean, it looks pretty bullish, but this exhaustion right here it's obviously got me a little bit worried, but, hasn't really changed the tilt of the leading MACD line here. So if this starts to curl down, then I'll say, okay, I think we're losing momentum here, and we might want to go down to start forming that double bottom, but we shall see. Being in the overbought territory on the stochastics, it hasn't been too much. Like, we got there at 11 p.m. last night. So, I wouldn't mind staying up here. Obviously, I wanted it to be more bullish, but I wouldn't be shocked if we stay up here a little bit longer, because this is a pretty strong buy pressure, right? You got to imagine we got all the way down to like 100,300 at about 3 p.m. yesterday, right? And then erode our way all the way back up to hitting that 105,400. All right. So let's kind of see what the support and resistance levels look like here on the hour chart, taking data from today at 3 a.m. So I really like that kind of data point let me get out of this. Let me go back here. All right, pull this up here. So we'll kind of go there. Let's open this up a little bit. All right, let's see what the support and resistance levels look like here. All right, resistance is definitely winning the battle at the prices that we are. So that makes sense for us to kind of see this exhaustion here. You can see it's pretty heavy on the resistance side. Right at this level. Okay, so like, yeah, the two levels that we need to kind of really rise up out of. We either need a lot more transactional bids on the buy side, or we need some big ones to come in, right? So we're having some tough battles between 104,780 to about 104,860 all the way to about 104,900, right? So right below too is the resistance. So I'm gonna be straight up with you guys. This is not looking great. These three levels right here, where we are, we're just surrounded by resistance. Now the level right below, there isn't a ton of volume there, so we could kind of build up some support there. Support does come in here at like 104,630 though, 104,640. So once we get there, we have some good support. So if we can kind of hold off the sell down, or if we get here, we can kind of hold off the continued sell down, then, you know, maybe we just kind of work our way back up, or maybe some big bids come in, because it looks like that's kind of happening right now. It looks like it wants to kind of push through these levels. But again, it's going to be pretty tough because we got about 3 levels here that the resistance is a lot stronger. So, you know, for me, I kind of feel like we might be going through a little bit of, you know, exhaustion on the buy side, and maybe we'll see a little bit of a downtrend here, but I wouldn't be too worried about it. If we do try to form that double bottom though, probably expect us to get a little scare back in the low 102s to close to 100,000 again. But I think that's going to have to be a strong sell pressure to bring us all the way back down there. We'll see how the rest of today plays out. I don't like the resistance levels here though, but we'll see if we can push through that for the second half of today. So if I had to say how I feel about the second half of today, I would say, and it's going in the opposite direction of what I'm about to say, but I would say, you know, chop with a little bit of downtrend, and might get aggressive on the downtrend as well. But I'm probably wrong on that, and I hope I am. So that's what I'm seeing there on the hour chart. Let's go to the 4-hour chart here. Wow, 4-hour chart's telling me something different, telling me that Bitcoin wants to come out of this, right? So the 4-hour chart's showing that we're exhausted on the sell pressure side, right? So this could be a good thing, right? So let's say we do have a little chop with a little bit of downtrend, but nothing super aggressive on the hour chart. Gives us the next maybe 2 to 4 hours, something like that, maybe trend down to like high 103s, but nothing super aggressive. And then on the pendulum swing back up, we get really aggressive and get back to like 105, 106 maybe to end the day. That could happen. And this right here on the 4-hour chart is showing me that the sell pressure is exhausted. You can see here, and this right here, this hook, that's telling me that the 4-hour wants to go back up. Right. So that's what I'm seeing here. We'll see if it plays out this way. And this will continue maybe this V-shaped recovery out of the V-shape and continue on with an uptrend here. We'll see, guys. I like the 4-hour chart, though. I really do. So maybe I'm wrong on that 1-hour chart. I hope I am. All right. So the weekly here, the weekly is still a red candle, but we're starting to eat it up a little bit. Honestly, I feel like it's a coin flip on how we're going to end the week here with the red or green. You know, really depending on how today plays out. I think tomorrow is going to be a typical Saturday chop suey kind of being able to scalp opportunity situation for Saturday, unless some big like world news comes out. And then Sunday we'll kind of reset with the new sentiment, and possibly, you know, let's maybe continue our journey on, or we have the chop again for another week, which is kind of what I've been thinking this entire time. But I'm okay with that, because I think by week 3, I think we start to get bullish again. So I'm okay here on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. I think we look really good still, look really strong. Again, we had all these strong green candles, and we have one red candle and another one following up. I'm okay if we end red. I'm okay if we end at 102, 104, 105. You know, I'm also okay if we turn it back green. We end 107, 108, or 109, 109. Like I said, I think even next week we probably will get more chop back and forth ranging until it is time to kind of continue our trajectory up. So we're looking good here on the weekly chart. In my opinion, we do see a little bit of exhaustion now. This is a nothing burger. I feel like, honestly, that's just me personally. That's what I feel about that. I think we're okay here. Let's take a look at the others chart for the weekly. The others chart is kind of still playing off of Bitcoin, which Ethereum plays off of, and the others really follow Ethereum, but will follow have a delayed tail of Bitcoin. So that's what we're seeing here. Bitcoin got all the way down to 100K. It spooked a lot of people to probably sell a lot of their mid caps, their micros, those kind of situations, right? But I think we're okay still. This definitely looks flat on the MACD for the weekly as well. And look, it looks like it doesn't want to stay in the overbought territory. It looks like it wants to head back down. But I think let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see how Bitcoin ends the week. And depending on if Bitcoin does get a bullish energy, maybe the second half of today, and then maybe we'll see what happens on Sunday. Maybe we get back to 109, 111 on Sunday. This others chart will reflect kind of like a tail, follow up here. So yeah, I think we're looking okay, guys. Don't freak out. Remember, once Ethereum does detach from the hip of Bitcoin, this will kind of speed race and follow it, depending on what it does there. But that's what
a little bit.
Yeah, let me bring this up.
I'm curious what it looks like over the course of.
Oh, zoom out. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I just want to see, like, okay, there it is.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean,
well,
there's a little bit of a diamond kind of forming as well. And typically diamonds, like I think it's like 65% of the time they'll break out, right? So I mean, this is obviously just like pattern recognition with stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that can make this happen quicker. Ethereum taking off, stuff like that. But yeah, so that's what we're seeing there on the others. The crypto bubble's not so great today. Let's take a look at the top 100 though. Yeah, it's about a 90% red day is what we're seeing. White is back down. I don't even know what white is, but white is down 13.4%. Lido down 7.7%. Trump down 6.8%. Where's our guy? Fart coin is typically the leader.
Top left. Tomorrow's gonna be a good day, bro. It's gonna be a good day. If you don't know, Farcoin is the leading indicator. Whatever Farcoin does today, that's what the whole market does tomorrow. We're gonna have a great day tomorrow, guys. Get ready.
Yeah,
baby.
It just sucked that tomorrow's Saturday because I just don't feel like we're gonna get like that. But this could be an indicator for Sunday. This could be an indicator for Sunday. So let's kind of hold our horses there. Virtual's back up 4.8%. So some of these big names that have been hot are kind of bouncing back, and typically they'll bounce back first, right? So Virtual's back up 4.8%. OKX's token up 1.3%. Caspa up 3%. Sui up 1.3%. Man, they have really bounced back from that whole issue. That Tron up 1.7%. You got Pith. Pith is the competitor to Chainlink. Oracle is up. Yeah, it is up 0.6%. Tau up 0.5%.
Yeah, and then, guys, he just named two of the most bullish tokens that I'm not in either of these, Pith or Tau, but I think Pith is going to be one of the leading coins in this
they're starting to eat up market share for Oracle services.
Chainlink is down to 50% market share. They were at 90% last bull run. Pith, and there's another one that are eating that up, guys. Pith is looked at as an absolute runner, in my opinion. Definitely check out Pith if you haven't checked out Pith. And obviously Tau. I think Tau is going to be, potentially the top 3 in market cap going forward. Like I think it is the AI of Bitcoin. But very, very bullish on those two.
And I feel like sometimes whenever there's a new, in the early 2000s, the internet was new industry, right? And then you have the Googles that dominated, and they're like, we can charge whatever we want. I feel like Chainlink kind of got into that mindset. Yeah, we're the big dog. We tell you the rules, and I think Pith took advantage of that because we know people that have Pith is Oracle provider for certain chains that don't use Chainlink. And so from what we hear, that they charge a lot less, right, for their services. So that's how you get, start to gain ground.
We're potentially looking at Pith to use for something that we're building, right? So I mean, it's something like we're looking there and we're like, hey, we could potentially use this for something. So exactly, it's not just like we're not doing our due diligence, guys. These are two top projects that we just named. So
yes, sir. Where's Dog? He's probably red,
top
I
right,
imagine.
Middle. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Dog is down 3.2%. Not worried at all. Dog is the strongest meme coin, in my opinion. Yeah. Mask is up 25.5%. Grass up 10.2%. I'm not familiar with Grass. Our guy Courtney Johnson, ZBCN up 1.3%, Pengu down 2.1%, Hex down 6.2%, and Pulse Chain down 4.6%. So someone had put a TikTok video out there about how the Richard Hart will make his comeback once Ethereum goes crazy, because Pulse Chain and Hex will be in the green, and he will only come back once like everything's bullish. But he says that's the biggest indicator that we're back into alt season once Richard Hart comes back. What do you think about that?
Well, Richard Hart is the second largest ETH holder in the world because of the I guess what is it, tribute, whatever that was, when everyone sent him Ethereum for the Pulse Chain airdrop.
Yeah.
So he's the second largest holder of ETH. People are saying that he's going to start selling that ETH down once ETH hits $5,000 and start buying Hex and Pulse Chain with it. I mean, dude, think about that. The second largest ETH holder in the world is Richard Hart.
That's crazy.
Like, he has more than Vitalik. He has more than the foundations. He is number 2. I don't even know who he's behind, but that's pretty. I think he's behind an exchange. Like, that's how big he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, guys, that is the Bitcoin and alt market price action. Still not panicked. I still feel good about this month. I feel good about parts of July as well. And then I'm going to say, okay, it's probably time for a pullback, but I think we're doing okay.
Yeah, man. Great job on that, by the way. Phenomenal. Let's jump into the roll call today. On this show, we take that first comment, and that first comment's from YouTube, because that's like the only place that allows, early comments. But if you are able to take advantage of that, Webdro, congratulations to you, my friend. You are the first comment of today. Let's jump over to the spreadsheet here. And you, my friend, have win number 21 on the year. Congratulations to you, sir. Lackey Lukey with 23. And then we have Danny Boy in first with 24. So it's looking like Webdro, Lackey Lukey, and I'm sorry, Danny Boy, Lackey Lukey, and Webdro are 1, 2, and 3 so far this year. And if you want to get involved in this, guys, I highly recommend you guys try to get on the board here. It's something that all these people, Glass Hoppers on here, and we got Matt's, PJ and Z, all of our loyal guys. Dude, it was hard to watch in March and April, and these guys were knocking that out. So Nighthawk's on here as well. Shout out to you guys, man. But shout out to Webdro winning on the Friday So we'll see what happens next week. But it looks like it was Webdro, Lucky Lukey, and Webdro. So it is a monopoly right now, but you guys are killing it. So
yeah.
Let's jump into the other comments here. So we have, let's see, Danny Boy is here. Shout out to Danny Boy. Orita.tv. Shout out to you, my friend. GM to you as well. I'm glad you're here, my friend. Then we got One Plus At is here. Shout out to One Plus At. He says, my tears will wash away the Bears. And Moon Yacht Club is here. Shout out to Moon Yacht Club. Followed by Tim Baker, AOD Art himself. Shout out to Tim Bakes. Merlin Lucky is here. He said, Matic, Polygon for ETH did well, but Merlin for Bitcoin will explode mine. So shout out to Merlin's Lucky is here. I love the Merlin community, man. People underestimate the Merlin community.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I think they're going to see a lot of growth here once we get into the bullish times and to finish the year with Merlin's ecosystem, the token itself, and the TVL. I think that TVL is going to be much bigger than what it is now.
I agree. I 100% agree. Rare Sats Ordinals here says Billy to a Billy. Yeah, I agree with you there. Lackey Lukey says Webdro to the moon. Webdro says cheers, Danny Boy. Seek Eternal says seasonal chaos shakes paper hands eternally. I'm tired of shaking paper hands. If you're still here, you are not a paper handed person.
I know. Like,
you're holding.
You're just like shaking the people that are here, and you're like, oh, stop shaking me. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere.
We all got like internal shakes, bro. We can't be shooken anymore.
Yeah.
Oh man, Webdro again. He's with a whole bunch of horses and dogs and smokes and running people. Shout out to Webdro. How Loop says no more explaining how to buy a dog. No more explaining how to do it. You don't want me to explain it anymore.
Well, have we been explaining how to buy it? I don't think we have.
I don't think so. I mean, one of our partners, Sats Terminal.
Sats Terminal, Tokyo Wallet, and then also eventually Kraken.
Yeah, man. So Danny Boy says Trump Musk stuff crazy. It was pretty crazy. Watching that unfold live was insane. Just sitting there, kept refreshing Musk's Twitter page to see what his next comment was. I was expecting to say I bought Bitcoin, but we'll see if that happens today. Hillbilly is here, says GM to the moon. Bitcoin is truth this year. Vader time. Kane 99. Chip and Dip is here. Spindrift, what's up, guys? What's up, Spindrift? Abstract says when Abstract airdrop. I'm thinking it's probably going to be what, late next year, early next year. What do you think? I don't think it's going to be this year.
Well, I do. I think it's going to be during 2025. I think it's going to be during the whenever things are like really hot. I think that's the best time to do it.
Guys, abs.xyz. Go there, start an account.
I think it's going to be huge too.
Buy an NFT. Go get yourself into that for sure. Or Doucher says first, best intro. Thank you, sir. He's a dog style trader. Damn. Patty Poo is here, the Bitcoin machine himself. Shout out to Patty Poo, our guy. And we got Hydro Sapien says, yo, bros, dog to the moon. I couldn't agree more. Mats is here. Mats says, have a great weekend, lads. You too, Mats. Really appreciate you being here every single day. Or Doucher says, I'll Telegram, I'll tag you. He says, guys, you need some gizmoshirt.com stuff. Send me a DM on Telegram. I guess he's running gizmoshirt.com. But shout out to you. Ricky Ricardo is here. Shout out from I guess he's married to Lucy.
You have some explaining to do.
You have some Zbeck to buy. No, he said Zbeck is the next XRP. Shout out to Ricky Ricardo. Chief Axel is here every single day. Our guy. Appreciate you, my friend. Paulie says once dog reaches the top 100, it'll cruise to a top 20.
I agree with that. I agree.
Dude,
the top 20 is big. I know, but I feel
that's like 4 billion.
So top. It's actually close to the top 100 right now. I think it's like 118 or something. Isn't it? 118.
Yeah, 117. 118.
I would say once we get to top 75, then we cruise to top 35. Top 20 is big. Top 20 is big.
You're talking 20s of billions of dollars from 80 to 60.
If dog does what people expect it to do with Kraken and everything by end of Q4, I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked if anything's on the table. Except for Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP.
I'm a fool, bro, but we're at like 400 million. You're telling me we're going to get to 40 billion? I mean, I'm down for it. I'm here for it. For it. I would love it, but we're talking an 80x. Like that's a
an lot. 80x at 400 million, bro. That'd be such an amazing Merry Christmas for everybody.
It really would be. But this is my guy right here, Coach Katz, as we call him. But Cache Katz is here with the coffee and the donuts and the dog. Go to the moon, my guy. Appreciate you being here, man.
Love to have that back, man.
Love it, dude. I missed it so much. Bitmap Capital is here. Shout out by Mempool Punk. You guys are absolutely amazing. You guys have been with here this entire bear market, man. Really appreciate you guys. Ordinal's tweets and Ordinal's chips. Dude, I feel the energy coming back, bro. I feel people are back. People are ready. Retail is here, guys. Shout out to you guys. I'm retail too. So no, I know well. So I'm with you guys, man. I can't wait for get to get bullish again. But then followed up by he's a guys, we're given power in the world. Yeah, I mean, if you run a miner, you're giving power into the world. The power is here himself. And power just comes in with a dot. He says, they're giving power to the world, and he's like, I'm here. And then Doucher says, please. I think that's the
the JD Vance, like JD Vance meme. But I couldn't find it. It's not in the top 1,000, it said.
No. So, but shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to everyone who makes roll call every single day. You guys are absolutely awesome. 350 you people in here on YouTube and X. So shout out to you guys, man. All right. Let's get a few more topics in before we get into Fluid Friday. So, okay. So this is pretty cool. Ross Ulbricht's $31 million worth of Bitcoin donation is suspected to come from Silk Road successor Alphabay, according to Chainalysis. So I went and looked up Alphabay. Alphabay was a prominent darknet marketplace that operated the Tor network, facilitating anonymous transactions involving illegal goods and services. So when Silk Road went down, they basically forked it and became Alphabay. But it was the same as Silk Road, the same exact thing, right? Alphabay is, I guess, I don't know if it's still running or what, but it is running on the Tor network and all that stuff. But yeah, man. So what do you think? Can Ross just sell these Bitcoin, or do you think he shouldn't touch it? Like, I don't know. What do you think? The dark net web sent you $31 million. Are you going to sell it? What do you do?
Probably, I think. I mean, he's obviously going to go through like the authorities and make sure that it could be okay. You know, I think the last thing he wants to happen to him is to get locked back up or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
can you get in trouble if we put a donation wallet on our thing, and then let's just say North Korea hackers just like send us like 10 Bitcoin? Is that our problem?
I think if we knew it, and then they would have to prove that we knew it.
How can they prove that?
I don't know.
We're just gonna be like, we got 10 Bitcoin. Let's let's buy some more.
You know how they're gonna attempt to do it. Like, we would blow it on like DJ shit. Like,
we would have like 10 node monkeys, a bunch of puppets,
like
$10 million of
I got 200 node monks. I got like 400 puppets. I got.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it, North Korea. If you want to send us some Bitcoin.
No, but you know how they're gonna try to check and prove it is they're gonna confiscate all of our hardware and all that stuff, and that would be a pain in the butt. And I don't know, man. Like for him, I just would like try to stay on the straight and narrow. He's already gotten lots of money from people. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Justin Sun donated the $6 million banana to him. He sold his prison ID for like $10 million or something crazy. I don't know how much it was. The bro, he's fine. Like he's gonna be fine with money. So his life completely flipped when Trump became president.
100%. I mean, that was a big reason why Trump won, though, right? Like people really got behind that narrative, or at least a good sector of the voting people, right? So I mean, crypto ecosystem was one of the biggest donators, right, to the Trump campaign. So, and that's came from a lot of the OG Bitcoiners who have a lot of Bitcoin, made a lot of money with it, and appreciated what Ross did in the beginning days of crypto. So, but Alphabay probably saw Ross like, we forked your shit. I made hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin because of that, and here's a little piece of it, right? So I just wish Alphabay would have maybe used a mixer before sending it to Ross or something, right?
There's
so
no
Ross
Bitcoin mixers though.
There's some. Yeah.
Is there?
I
thought you have to
frowned upon, but there is some.
I thought you have to bridge it to Ethereum and then just mix like wrap Bitcoin or something.
Well, that's another way. You can use Thor. You can swap your Bitcoin in Ethereum and then swap it back. That's another way to do it. But you have to pay like, I think it's like a good 4 or 5%. But like there is Bitcoin mixers.
That's why they don't want to stop that.
Because people don't talk about them, but there are.
Well, like Thorchain, there's like, because we're decentralization. No, it's because you're making 5%, 6% per transaction on these like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, 6% of $100 million is $6 million. Yeah, come on, like, they're here for that.
But they're gonna scream the name of in the name of decentralization, and that's why they're doing it.
100%. All right, let's jump to the next thing here. If you guys go to mempool.space, it looks a little different than it did yesterday, and that is because we're officially over block 900,000. It happened this morning, actually 56 blocks ago. We had block number 900,000. Guys, we are officially one step closer to 1 millionth block. So my question to you, Yagobi, what comes first? 1 million blocks, which takes place in about 2 years. If Bitcoin stays on the same way it does of 10 minutes, the average 10 minute, looking like, May of 2027, or do we hit $1 million first? What comes first?
1 million blocks.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to take longer than 2 years, which would be 2027 to get to 1 million, but I don't necessarily think it would be much longer than that. Maybe it takes 3, maybe it takes 5, who knows? But once it gets to 1 million, I think that's going to be like really eye-opening. But Crypto Solution, shout out to Vincent, one of the big dog army advocates here. But
number 2 behind Leonidas, man. Yeah, I'm catching up to you, Vincent. I'm going to be number 3, bro. I'm pushing now. I'm in the dog army. I see what's going on there now, and I'm pushing to number 3.
I want it.
I might take your spot one day. I want it. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you watching the show, because you definitely seem to be someone to watch the show, because when you posted the other day, you had to be watching to find that clip. Like, it wasn't like I didn't timestamp yet. So you're definitely watching. So shout out to you, my friend. But yeah, man. So pretty big for Bitcoin right now. block number 900,000. So
yeah. And this, like, when I hear stuff like this, I think about some of these Bitcoin layer 1 assets that aren't really in headlines as much anymore. You have the bitmaps that how many get one generates per block, right?
Yeah.
So now there's 900,000 supply of bitmaps. And we talked about, like, you know, what that supply looks like. It's like a drip supply. So that's still like not very much if you made it fungible type of situation, which Jeff and his team have, right? We'll see how big they can get that adopted. But then you have the uncommon sats that now are part of a 900,000 supply as well.
Yeah.
And I would love if someone had the capability to make, you know, exotic and rare sats fungible, but
yeah,
we'll see if it happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's an opportunity for someone there, right? Especially getting some fees for you taking your sats and, you know, potentially just wrapping them, right? I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. You know, I was thinking something like Middle or something like Arch could definitely take advantage of that. You know, obviously they want to stay away from the wrapping and stuff like that, but taking the sats and wrapping them as tokens for those ecosystems could be something really big for them, because you can have tokenized, you know, fungible uncommons, black uncommons, you know, so on and so on. The Ross ones, Silk Road ones.
Yeah. The problem, I think, is that they, like, the indexer that Casey created is very, like, you can use it and be very specific with it. We know that. Like, we've used tools to where we pluck like literal sats out from sets of sats and because they're unique or something, and we inscribe on them. So it's possible, because what you'd have to do is, you know, make sure that the indexer is just saying don't mess with the sat. Like, don't mess with the sat is like, it can't be added into any of the transferable UTXOs. It has to be, you know, separate and all that stuff. And then they would have to have like a MPC wallet with these. And the problem, I think, that comes into play then is, like, you have all these rare and exotic sats, and then you have to, like, be like, this one goes to this wallet, this one goes to that wallet, and then when you know what I mean? I think it can still be done. I think it's probably just a big headache.
It can't be done because Satoshi has a limit. It's like 460 Satoshis per, like, that's like a dust limit. You can't send less than 460 Satoshis in one UTXO. Like, that's so that's the problem.
Well, how
right?
But also, like, whenever we pluck one of those out, then they're putting in another set of at least 460, but they just say this one stays. Like, it doesn't leave. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so the KC's indexer and stuff like that, like when you send the sats, or like Unisat wallet, for instance, they can pluck other ones, but they won't send that one, right? It'll stay in there. So it sees it's labeled, it's not going to touch it, but it does need another, you know, 459 Satoshis in there with it. So that's the biggest problem. That is why you're not seeing it tokenized yet, because then people are going to have all these, you know, normal Satoshis in there and tokenize them. But there is a way to potentially pluck out all these. It might be expensive though. That's a problem too, because you have to pay that Bitcoin transaction fee every time. So I don't know. It's definitely something that's a great idea, but it's just hard to implement as long as that dust limit is there. But who knows? That dust limit might get taken away one day when, you know, one Satoshi equals $1.
Yeah.
So. All right, jump to the next thing here. Merlin Chain, pushing the boundaries of staking. Merlin's 45% APR fixed term vaults are officially live. You go to merlinchain.io. You can now stake your Merl, lock it up for 6 months. That is a decision you have to make. You have to be, you know, aware that you're locking it up for 6 months. You know, a lot of people cried last time Merlin had a locking system because they weren't able to sell their assets. But guys, if you're interested in doing this, take advantage of this. If you're planning to hold Merl for a year or 6 months, this might be something you're interested in. But no one is giving you 40% APY on a governance token. You know,
proof of stake,
proof of stake governance token. It doesn't happen, but you're able to do that here on Merlin Chain. Jeff is pushing the boundaries here, probably losing a lot of money on this, but he's probably gaining a lot of users.
Yeah, and that's the trade-off that you make, you know, if you want to grow. Yeah. And the thing is, if you do decide to go into that 6 month, you know, fixed 45%, you can actually withdraw the rewards on a daily basis, I believe. But definitely dive into the docs. You guys are adults. We're all adults. You make the decision based on what is right for you in your situation.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. All right, jump to the next thing here. Dog Army is strong, guys. So I looked at this. So Slingshot is showing Dog as the #1 traded token on Slingshot, and it's not even the Rune yet. It's actually just the Solana token. So it is wild, dude. Look, Dog, #1 Solana token. It's the #1 Solana token. Think about that for a second. It's the #1 Solana token, and it's a Bitcoin rune that got bridged. A lot of it's not even bridged over there. You can see liquidity is only 29,000. Like volume is
Wait,
480K.
so wait, so it's not #1 in volume though. It's #1 trending, I think, right?
Trending. Okay.
Yeah, #1 trending.
Even better.
Yeah, look, I just think it would be really tough for it to be the #1 Solana
Yeah.
volume token. But I think once they do add the runes in and stuff, and once this whole initiative of dog adoption really starts to get, look, it's on X, it's already there, but it just needs to kind of, get to cracking. Slingshot needs to do its thing. It's been saying it's gonna do, which is to me personally, this is just a personal statement from Yagobi. It's been a bit disappointing, the fact that they've taken this long and they hyped it up so much, and it better be damn good once it does release.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see dog and then that Bitcoin logo right there. How cool that's going to be.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so shout out to Slingshot and everything they're building there. But it is kind of cool to see dog trending, though. I'm not gonna lie, especially the Solana dog, because that is bridged in there. Okay, so last thing here before getting to Fluid Friday. So Yuga Labs CEO Greg Solano proposes dismantling the ApeCoin DAO, creating ApeCo, a new entity focused on accelerating the ecosystem growth through streamlined operations, supporting top-tier projects. So I went and dug a little deeper, and if Greg does this, if Greg Solano ApeCoin proposal passes, ApeCoin essentially just becomes a meme coin. No longer governance, no longer anything. What do you think?
I mean, kicking the towards the holders, right? I don't know all the details here. Just
are they broke?
Off the cuff. I mean,
they sold Moonbirds.
Okay. So punks, they should have sold. They handled that horribly.
Yeah.
In fact, they should not bring on any more IPs whatsoever, in my opinion. If they're going to create an IP, do it organically through your own whatever. Don't be acquiring punks, Moonbirds, and not be able to do it. But okay, so I actually think that was probably strategically smart. Now, the ApeCoin thing, though, that's them. That has their fingerprints everywhere. I mean, you go back to even like my brother and some of his, friends that own businesses and stuff that were in the crypto last cycle. They had ApeCoin because they bought something else that they got the airdrop, right?
Yeah, the monkeys or whatever.
Yeah, the apes.
Bored apes.
Yeah, so to me, I think without getting deeper into the details of this, if it's just everything I heard, it's a kick in the because like the holders were your base, right? So they need to do something. They have Ape Chain. What is that really doing? We're not hearing much, and I just feel like they're trying to figure it out. I feel like they're in a similar place like OpenSea is. OpenSea is kind of trying to figure out their way back, and you guys doing a little bit of that as well. We'll see if they can thrive again.
The problem is Yuga's supposed to be a gaming company with no games. Right, like that.
The other side,
decentralized metaverse with. I mean, no one plays that, right? I mean, I'd never.
It looks so cool though when they first dropped it.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. I would definitely. Yeah, but so they're seeing Abstract, right, with Pengu, and they're like, so Abstracts they're obviously doing an airdrop. We talked about that earlier, right, with the ABS token. So Yuga's like, if we make ApeCoin a meme coin, we can still launch another token. It seems very greedy, right? It's like. You know what I mean? It's like because you can't have two governance tokens. You can't have the Ape Chain and then ApeCoin. It's not gonna work. But if you make ApeCoin like Pengu, you could potentially have a governance token for the chain, right? So
that's true.
It seems a little great.
That does kind of create a similar follow a blueprint. But there's one big difference between Abstract and Ape Chain and Yuga. Do you know what it is?
What's that?
Luca Nets, man. That guy is just. I mean, the dude is already trying to build up GOAT status in terms of the best business person in crypto. And look, everybody gave him so much shit when they first launched Abstract. Like everybody was excited, and then we're underwhelmed. This is not what we thought it was. It's crap. It's like, and then it became kind of a ghost town a little bit, but they kept grinding. Luca was like, hey, eye on the prize. And then what, a month ago, everybody's like, Abstract is where it's at. So it's so funny how our space is, right? But you and I, we've known that Luca Nets has this mentality of business first. And so we kind of knew in the back of our minds that Abstract's going to make it and it's going to thrive. And I still think that. And so maybe Yuga's saying, hey, let's not, why break something that, or why fix something that's not broken? And it's not their strategy. It's Luca Nets strategy that's not broken. And maybe they're trying to replicate that.
Yeah, 100%. And think about it. Like we stream on YouTube, right? We stream on Twitch, we stream on X, we stream on Rumble, we stream on Kick, and now we're streaming on Abstract. Like, just put the Abstract with those names. Imagine if Abstract becomes one of the top 5 streaming platforms, right? I mean, what if the Abstract becomes like Kick? I mean, that's only one aspect of their business, right? So it's just like, it's one of those things where look at the Nets is just doing everything right. I can see people getting paid millions of dollars to stream on Abstract one day, the same way you're seeing Aiden Ross get paid from Kick. You're seeing people get paid from Twitch, right? I think it's Kai Sinet being one of the makes it hundreds of millions of dollars a year from Twitch. I feel like Abstract could be something like that and also have that chain there as well. Like, it's absolutely huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah. And I expect it to be a successful competing streaming platform. I do, just because of who's behind it.
Yep. Yeah, man. I see him going that direction, that Kick Twitch direction.
Yep,
dude.
me too.
All right. So every Friday, guys, we like to hit on our partner Fluid tokens. Today is officially Fluid Friday. We're going to give you guys a quick overview of what they're building, what is going on, and some crucial updates for any dog holder. If you're holding dog, you're going to want to hear this. But first thing I want you guys to do is head over to fluidtokens.com, the number one place for layer 1 staking. In my opinion, these guys are phenomenal because when you stake on Fluid, you do not give them your asset. You're actually locking up in your own address using Bitcoin's block locking technology. You lock it to a certain block height. That is, absolutely awesome because you're not giving them access to your stuff. You keep your stuff. And why do that, right? So when you do a staking vault, you do earn. Right. So in this situation, I had 400,000 a dog locked up. I was able to unlock on May 26th, and I got like a good portion. I got like 400, and I think it was 430. I got 30,000 free dog tokens, which is like $60. But I didn't do anything. It was like a 30-day lockup. I locked up 400,000 dog. I got 30,000 runes. Very happy with that because I am very bullish on dog, and I can't wait to do it again. So I'm going to lock up potentially double that next time and potentially earn on that as well. So, and they also do the Fluid passes, and I've done so many of. I think I was involved in probably most of these. I did Omen. I did this one, Billy. Remember the Billy?
Oh,
I made
dude,
like
the Billy one was
on
awesome.
The Billy,
the Billy one was awesome.
But yeah.
But speaking of dog go to the moon, actually, I'm very confident, as you guys know. You can tell by the way I speak about it. But my position looks. I'm happy with it. So we are hearing there's going to be a season 3. Now there's going to be some time between now and then. They're thinking late July, August kind of time period, but I'm definitely going to be participating in that if it's going to be like a decent one, right? So if you miss season 1 or season 2 of staking your dog to earn more dog go to the moon room token, then you're going to have another opportunity for season 3 that's coming up. And like I said, it's going to be more in that late July, August kind of time frame. So you do have some time, but I'm excited about it. But if you did stake in season 2, go claim it. Go claim it right now because it is open to claim. And it's in one transaction to get back your original staked dog along with the rewards that you earned during that process. And it's one transaction. And from what I'm hearing, actually, it does the fee. There's no fee. You're actually, it gives you back a couple little bit of sats, I think, or something like that.
I made Bitcoin on the withdrawal, so that was cool. But yeah, man. So shout out to Fluid. They also have an airdrop tool. Let's just say you created a rune, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna drop this rune to all dog holders. Could be really genius, right? Because now you gave value to something without value. Because let's just say you make dog a friend, like dog's wife or something. You want to airdrop it to all the dog. You can use Fluid's tools here. It would probably be super cheap, probably like $20, $30, $40. You can come here, hit continue on the rune. You can upload a file. You can go grab all the dog holders or whatever you want to do and upload that file, and then you could send it. And then it's going to ask you select the asset. you can select one of these. But if it is your own, you would just put your the custom rune ID and then the decimals. If you don't know where to find it, you can go to Luminex. You can find all that information there. Just search up your rune. You can find the ID and the amount of decimals. You hit continue, and then you'll confirm. It'll tell you how much you're going to pay, everything, and then hit start. And that airdrop will happen in Bitcoin's next block. It's super easy. Fluid created an amazing tool. If you are interested in airdropping dog holders, do it. No, I'm just kidding. But absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if actually that was a big meta that comes into play once dog is so big. Like airdropping layer 1 dog holders, that would be pretty insane.
I can see that, dude. We saw it before. I mean, holders got airdropped a whole bunch of shit. So,
dude, that airdrop meta season, it lasted for about 4 months, right? But it was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, man. So definitely check out. I mean, every now and then you wake up to a $3,000 airdrop. Like, what is this?
The best one was Runestones, though. Best one was
for sure. But shout out to every single one of you guys who are doing airdrops or checking out what Fluid's building. They also, if you are somebody who likes Cardano, they also have a Cardano side of this as well. And you guys, there's liquidity pools and you can do like rentals, staking, earn. You can actually lock up your FLDT token if you're interested in doing that, or your ADA. Number one place in DeFi on Cardano. You heard Charles Hockinson actually say Raul's name, on stage, talking about how amazing
that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then, they have aquarium.fluidtokens.com as well, where you can use the Babel fees. This is like Charles's big thing where you can pay your fees in anything. So that's really cool. Something completely different. I wonder if people ever do that with Bitcoin, Babel fees on Bitcoin.
Well, I think they're trying to integrate it. So yeah. And then, so they are also working on their lending. That's in testnet right now. So there's going to be a new lending platform. So just stay tuned for that as well, guys. But yeah, that kind of wraps up Fluid Fridays.
Yeah, man, definitely. And let's take a look at Magic Eden real quick. Let's take a look at the runes and kind of see where the opportunity lies while we wait for our good friend Jake Gallen from Emblem for the next segment, which is Emblem Hour. We're gonna hang out with you guys for another hour today. I hope you guys are willing to hang out with us because it has been fun so far. Let's keep it going. So let's take a look at what is going on. The rune side of things, and then we'll take a look at the ordinals if we have time. But runes, let's go to the 1 day. You have dog down 2%, but Magic Internet Money came back strong last night, dude, up 20%, back to 35 million. This one was getting killed.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about the holder count not being so big, but it looks like it jumped up. It looks like it's increased a little bit here. It definitely need a revival there. Billy looks like it starts to. Where's all the Billy cats at? Where's all the Billy community? You guys, come on, we got to come out of the woodwork. Billy, in my opinion, is the second strongest community, or at least was. Got to earn that back though. Can't just let be lackadaisical, and I got to participate back in that because I'm a big $1 billion cat believer, as well as dog. But yeah, Magic Internet Money, hats off to that team. We'll see if they can continue, and we know our guy Deutscher is a part of that as well.
Yeah, man, 100%. But if you cash tag Billy, man, I don't know if they're still hungover from Vegas, but they're just not there right now. They're not there at all.
No bueno.
Gizmo was killing it. Gizmo is probably one of the stronger communities behind dog, honestly. But again, if you cash tag pups or mim, you're not seeing that much either. So it's like I can say anything, but it's just dog and Gizmo have been two of the highest. But Gizmo sitting at 8.4 million. Can Gizmo pass Billy? I actually think it can. But Dog Army, Billy Army, you guys need to step up, man. Step up your game, step up your tweets. Tweeting about your favorite asset on X has become a must. A absolute must. If you are a part of this community and you don't do one daily tweet hashtagging Billy, are you really part of that community? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, definitely need that energy back. I mean, I know that there was a period that the energy was absolutely nuts, and I think it carried it to that 155 million, 155 million, guys. That is the all-time high for $1 billion cats market cap. We can easily get back there. At that time, I was creating the crazy dancing $1 billion cat, but I was a part of that movement, right? So maybe I need to get my energy back and kind of bring that back. But look, I'm all about Billy. I'm all about Doggo. I'm all about most of these in the top, the Gizmos, the Pups. I need to probably get a little bit better position with those. But I truly believe the meme culture that lasts is the strongest in the Bitcoin community.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. But it is nice seeing Mim and Pups kind of in the green. Because we do know when Dog was running last week, Dog, Billy, and Gizmo, these were the guys that were at the negative. So it is nice to see Mim kind of taking back some of the losses that it had, especially when Dog is down. So usually if Dog's down, everything's down a lot worse. But you're kind of seeing Mim and Billy, Mim and Pups kind of take their positions back. Pups back to 22 million.
Yep.
So, but yeah, man. All right, guys, it is Friday and just about 12:30, and every Friday at 12:30, we have our good friends on from Emblem Vault. Emblem Vault is building something truly special. They're actually building multiple things that are truly special, but the number one thing right now that they're focused on is Agent Hustle. If you are on Solana and you're not taking advantage of free Agent Hustle, you're making a huge mistake. Because you have an assistant waiting for your commands and your prompts to kind of show you what's going on. So I highly recommend to anyone, if you're playing with a Phantom Wallet, now you can just go to Google account, honestly. And you guys can just go over there, go to agenthustle.ai, sign up for that, and use it while it's free. Because it's not going to be free forever. But they're building that, but they're also building something really amazing, the vaults, guys. They've actually vaulted stuff, and they're taking stuff over to ETH. We're going to get into all those details with Jake. I'm really excited for this one. So without further ado, let's bring up Jake Gallen for Emblem Vault. Jake, welcome back to OnChain Revolution.
What's good, guys? Man, it's been maybe 2 or 3 weeks since I've been on.
3 weeks.
I think Adam was on, and
was
then
it? Oh,
I
yeah.
was at Bitcoin Vegas, literally out 7 days in a row. I'm fucking exhausted from it, but man, what a fun time.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Vegas, let's dive into that a bit. Obviously you were, expecting to run into a lot of the people that you knew in our ecosystem and the Bitcoin broader ecosystem, you could say crypto ecosystem. But did it hit your expectations in terms of the conference itself? And then, what was the biggest, I guess, most featured part of the entire Bitcoin ecosystem?
Yeah, man, the conference kind of blew my expectations. There were so many people, by far the largest conference I've ever been to. I think at the end of the day, they sold 35,000 tickets, what they said. They gave everybody who went this year a free ticket to next year. So I think they're expecting it to be even bigger. I knew this, from Vegas, that once the conference was here, it'd probably never leave. And that seems to be the case. I heard rumors that they actually signed a long-term contract. So it sounds like it's going to be in Vegas for many years to come, which is going to be awesome. The Inscribing Vegas was awesome. Really good event there. I have a lot of information about that or insight from there. The conference, I tried to go see JD Vance in the morning. He was the first speaker on Wednesday, which is when the general admission passes could show up. They opened doors at 5:30 to line up, and I was like, there's no way people are going to line up at 5:30 in the morning in Vegas after being out up all night. And I was completely wrong. I got in line at 8 a.m. and I got all the way up to the door. I was like maybe 300 or 400 people away from getting into JD Vance. But there had to be, I kid you not, this is probably the longest line I've ever seen in my life. Probably 30,000 people in this line. It was
wow,
and it was insane. Yeah, but he had a good presentation. The boothing area was big. The speakers, the speakers for me, it's like, and for us, we sit on spaces all day, so we hear these people talk all the time. So the presentations are really not anything different from the things that you hear on spaces outside of a few product announcements. There really wasn't that crazy of a product announcement to be fair, but the side events were great. Went to the Mike Tyson Tiger mansion party on Wednesday, which seemed
Tyson looked a little off. He looked a little off in those pictures.
Yeah, man, that was it's pretty funny. But overall, amazing experience. Inscribing Vegas, the energy was really intense. Everyone extremely bullish on runes, so I don't know. The timeline's definitely not reflected. There are tons of builders for runes, and I think in the next 3 to 6 months, we're going to see a handful of AMMs and DEXs come online for runes. So there's going to be some real competition. Obviously, Magic Eden's very public about what they're doing, right? With Slingshot and Spark,
Spark.
trying to build their kind of, I guess you would call it like a custodial kind of use any token to buy runes experience. You have DotSwap that announced Nexus during Inscribing Vegas, and I actually was looking at the stats. I actually got to meet some of the DotSwap team. They're doing like 60-70% of the volume Magic Eden is, so they're actually like kind of close, you know, in terms of competition. Obviously, you have Arch that's coming online. A lot of builders are using ICP now, from what I hear. Even more builders. I saw like a counterparty announcement that one team's using ICP for a counterparty DEX. And there's like 2 or 3 teams that are big teams in the Bitcoin ordinal space that are building a DEX in AMM that they haven't announced yet. So there's going to be a ton of competition. I think the main takeaway is that every single one of these is using some sort of cross-chain tooling to get it done. So, you know, we're all vindicated of the things we've been saying for a few years, because that's literally what's happening.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, I mean, Emblem's been doing it for almost 10 years at this point. So it's like, you know, the market's finally starting to catch up to where Emblem has been. But it is really great to see. Really, really exciting. Yeah. So I wouldn't believe a lot of things to see on the timeline, because the builder's really excited and the community's really excited. Whatever, you know, some of the larger accounts say, I don't think that's going to be the case once a lot of this stuff's online.
Yeah.
When's Udi gonna give up on Opcat and just start building for runes? That's what I want to know.
Well, he's an investor in ICP, right? Because he's an investor in Odin Fund. So right, he has some stake in runes. He's just, you know, he's just doing it for engagement. It's kind of
I absolutely think that that's most of the case. But it's so funny that, like what you said, you know, kind of what we have had conversations about with scaling solutions and stuff the past year and a half. It's almost like these builders that were so worried about what the maxis would say or think, they're like, okay, you have 2 paths here to get across this valley or whatever. One of them's full of tar, but you can get through it. It's going to be such a difficult time. Or the other one is like more clear, but you might have to go around certain obstacles, but it's way less like, you know, work and headache and stuff. And they were just constantly taking that left option. Now they say, okay, all right, you know, all right, Jake, all right, Yagobi, all right, no, but like, you know, this seems to be the route. So that definitely feels good, because I feel like our space as a whole can now move forward. But yeah, like when you brought that up, it just made me feel great. But you got to meet one of your community members, Memetics.
I met Jake. I met Memetics at Inscribing Vegas, so it was really cool to kind of talk and hang out. Really good dude, been in the community for a really long time. You know, he's a great artist, and he told me some of the things that he's going to be releasing here soon as well. So it is always great. You know, it's tough sometimes to meet people in real life. Like for me, I'm obviously a public figure, even now with the kind of real PFP. But when you meet up with somebody, right, they have to tell you kind of their
screen name,
their handle, or a conversation you've had. And so sometimes it's funny of being like a more public facing person, because people will walk up to you and start like continuing a conversation you've had with them, and you don't know who they are. So you like start thinking of like, where's this conversation from? Who's this and stuff? But no, it's all great. It's all good fun. One surprising takeaway from the Bitcoin conference and ordinals actually as well is that there was no AI stuff at all. There was one AI booth at the Bitcoin conference. Wow. Actually, when we were walking through Inscribing Vegas, I would say we were actually, the Emblem team was approached by maybe 5 or 6 meta protocols and dexes to integrate into Hustle. So that seemed to be kind of the interest there. I mean, we have a very large Bitcoin community, and that's where we kind of want to go next once we start expanding to new chains. And yeah, there's going to be some real competition there. But I'm very surprised that there was no AI stuff. I think next year at the Bitcoin conference, that'll change, because JD Vance at the very end of his speech said that Bitcoin was becoming more conservative and AI was becoming more liberal, and that he was basically calling on the Bitcoin community to participate more in AI so that AI doesn't become co-opted by the left. I think a lot of people will take that very seriously. So I think you'll probably see a handful of Bitcoin focused AI companies pop up probably over the next 6 months. They probably start getting funded now, but yeah, that should change, because AI and Bitcoin, it makes everything automated, and I think it'll have a profound impact on Runes, Ordinals, BRC 2.0, and all these other ecosystems. And every team that I've talked with is super interested in it. They want to build the infrastructure, and they just want us to tie in it so the community can participate.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, I love the fact that JD said that. I actually I didn't hear anyone talk about that. You're the first person I heard. Actually, I didn't watch the speech, so I probably should go back and watch it. But
It was literally the
really...
last thing that he said. So the last like 5 minutes.
Gotcha.
I love that for Hustle, actually, because you guys are perfectly positioned to kind of be that like early, take the market share. And then if competitors, you guys can be in the position where like, if you want it, you're going to have to take it from us. Right. So, and now you're familiar with all these other builders. So integrating that, you have that relationship. So I'm excited for the future of Hustle. Once you guys do integrate the Bitcoin tech stack into it, I think it's a bright future.
That's where we want to go. I mean, for Hustle, we're kind of in an interesting spot. So we got our new login system, so you can log in with Google. I have some other updates about like the Emblem Vault side we'll talk about later. But so the demoing was actually pretty easy. When I'd walk up to somebody on mobile, you just click on mobile, sign in with Google, and you're in the interface within like 20 seconds. So a lot of people were very impressed with that. While we were actually at see, we have Google, we're doing X and Apple next. And there are
X.
Yeah, when we set this up is when X was having issues. So the developer portal was down, and we were just like, fuck it, just launch it with Google and we'll figure it out afterwards. And so we actually have other Web3 wallets integrated. Just whichever web extension wallets you have downloaded on your web browser are the ones that'll pop up. So basically we built like kind of our own privy for that system, which was a company that was funded for $15 million recently. So we kind of have our own. Yeah. So we have that, which is pretty cool. But what we've identified now is like right before the Bitcoin conference, we were having about 250 daily active users. Now it's down to about 100 or so. And the users are gravitating with the flow of the Solana trenches. As well as the AI trenches as well, right? So like the DeFi AI sector is down like 70% over the last 2 weeks, and Solana is also volume is down drastically. So for us moving into Bitcoin and some of these other ecosystems, Emblem has 25,000 holders, and obviously we've been around in the Bitcoin ecosystem for a long time. So we have to kind of expand, to attract more people to the platform. But we've now identified 2 different types of users that we're kind of building for. The first one is like the trenchers. It's the people who come in, they use Hustle for, finding tokens, buying tokens, creating strategies, thesis, daily reports, etc. The other type is what we like to call the pocket analysts, or I guess this is what Trevor King from Asymmetric calls it, where they don't actually ever trade with Hustle. They just want like news. They want to talk with them. On Monday, we just added web browsing capabilities. So it's just like, if Hustle has access to Google, so you could check sports reports, you could check news from Bloomberg, right? You could do things outside of crypto and kind of intertwine it with crypto. So we're going to start making a bigger play on data aggregation. And I see a bunch of other teams are now starting to kind of follow suit with Soul Sniper, just launched their AI, which is almost very similar to Agent Hustle. It's like very close. Yeah, I would say it's not as great in terms of like its flexibility, because it's probably just using Soul Sniper data. But Nansen also came out and said that they're building an AI as well, right? So they'll be kind of domiciled with their own. So
what is his entity called? Ansem's?
No, Nansen.
Oh, I was about to say Ansem. Okay.
Analytics, right?
And Nansen's like one of the top analytics platforms.
Gotcha.
So, all these, so we were right. We've been right this whole time, which we already knew. We're kind of competing in two ballparks now, with like this analytics side of things, and then also kind of like the trading.
I love that
capabilities. And kind of what we've noticed is that it's becoming more. At the beginning, it was very trader heavy user base. Now it's becoming a lot more analytics based. So we're kind of building our conditional system right now, at least the early primitives of it. And then we're going to add our subscription service after that. And then we're just going to go heavy into a lot of data, a lot of optimizations, and really expanding to Bitcoin mobile and a lot of these other kind of capabilities.
Yeah, man. Excited for that. I'm excited for the Bitcoin part, honestly. Hustle on Bitcoin is gonna be absolutely amazing. But like, so you had your whole team in Vegas, right? Which is awesome.
Most
Right?
of the team.
Okay.
Some of the
Was
devs
Shannon?
stayed back. Shannon didn't go, and Sammy
Oh,
stayed back.
gotcha.
They
So
made a ton of progress on the Emblem 2.0 side of things. So
gotcha.
they stayed back. So it was me, Chris, Adam, and Eric, who's one of the co-founders.
And Bunzi, right?
And Bunzi was there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was it with you guys, man? How was it kind of hanging out after kind of just talking all the time, where work wise? How was it with like the team? Was it like an awesome bonding
It's
opportunity
fun
for you guys?
Yeah, Chris lives out here in Vegas, and I've known him for a while, so that's cool. It's always great seeing Adam. It was Adam's first time in Vegas, very surprisingly. And Bunzi I talk with all the time. He actually comes out here semi often as well. But it's cool to talk business in kind of a play environment, because it kind of allows for creativity of different types of ideas instead of just sitting at the computer where you're kind of surrounded by your own work environment.
Yeah.
So it's a little loose, and then also engaging in other conversations with other builders that you can then think on other types of ideas. It's pretty interesting. I realized at the conference that because of my shift into AI, the algorithms actually kind of like domiciled me into this like one area. So there's like a bunch of people that I've known for a while in the industry. I was talking about Agent Hustle, and they're like, "No, I think about it. You don't even come up on my timeline anymore."
Wow.
So I'm trying to build my reach back out to a little bit more of a broader audience. Went a little bit too deep, I guess, on the Agent Hustle posts.
Just hashtag dog, man. It works for me.
It does, yeah. Yeah. The dog community was out in full force. To me,
how is that in person though? Like, we see it on X and it seems like really powerful, but in person, was it another experience?
Every time I walked by the dog booth, which was maybe 2 or 3 times, it was packed. There was like at least 20 or 30 people around it, just people hanging out. Talked with a few of the guys. I forget which people specifically, but there was like a spin wheel, and they were giving away plushies, or at least they had just finished handing out all the plushies. I didn't make it to the party afterwards. I was at a different one at that time. And no, it was just cool. Like them, the puppets, Billy. There's a lot of Billy people that I had met as well. Those are probably the 3 strongest communities, I would say. Didn't see anything about Node Monkeys anywhere.
Really?
Not much about Taproot Wizards, to be honest. I know they had a party, but not like around the conference. No one brought up Taproot Wizards in any of the conversations. It was mostly all dog and puppets for the most part, just kind of building the culture. But then again,
or pups, like, or was this all?
It's mostly puppets, the NFT collection.
Okay.
Yeah. No one talks about the token, it seems like.
Except for Farmer Joe.
Yeah, unfortunate. Good builder. He's a good guy. But yeah, so for me, dog, I think like whoever wins the Dex battle for runes is going to be whoever attracts the dog community. Like that's going to be pretty much game and point.
It's gonna be hard to beat DotSwap though, right? DotSwap's just so far ahead of everyone else.
I'm happy for DotSwap too, because we met Lynn, we met the other
Johnny.
founder as well. Yeah,
I got to meet Johnny in Vegas. Yeah, Johnny.
Cool guys. And they're a good combo actually. Like you wouldn't think that they would be partnered up, but they work. And DotSwap's been there since the early days. They've been trying to do this for a long time. So for them to break through and get to that 65-70% of Magic Eden's volume, I'm happy for them. And I hope that they have good success. So
from what I've seen so far, they have the best third-party tooling, because I've reached out to all of the people who had talked to us about APIs and integrations and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem the farthest ahead, although Arch is still launching, and they have Saturn and whatever, and obviously all this funding, so they will definitely have some impact. I guess it depends on how people respond, but I know I've heard good and bad things from both sides. I've heard good things on how powerful the technology is, and the bad things is it's taking too long, so a lot of developers have actually left for ICP, it seems like,
and base,
right? But if it does what they say they do, and the developers that I talked with who are building on Arch had said that it does in fact do what they say, it just becomes more of just like a waiting game, I suppose. But honestly, like for Emblem's thesis, because we have keys TGE in 3 months or so, Like our whole thesis back in, Q3 of last year was, Arch becomes the main DEX and everyone just trades there. And so we'll move over there and it'll be a similar experience to Uniswap. Obviously, since then, you've had tons of other teams pop up and ThoughtSwap's continued and Magic Eden's going this other direction. But I don't think Magic Eden won't have LP pools, at least from I see. Their LP pools are privately backed by their own treasury, I think, or whatever Slingshot's treasury is, I suppose. So we'll see. But, competition's great for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so the problem with Arch though is like I think the SVM model or the Arch VM model is going to be amazing, right? But like, can they do this the rolling up? Can they roll up the transactions on Bitcoin? Right? Like I think that's the one part that like I need to see, because right now when you're using something like Saturn on testnet, you're kind of using the runes that they made, right? You're using the kind of like the Arch VM model type of thing, right? But can they do it? And that'll be the big telltale, in my opinion. Watching those blocks get rolled up on mempool.space, right?
Aren't they doing it on testnet though? They're doing it with the synthetic runes that they created, but still rolling it up to Bitcoin. Still rolling it up to Bitcoin's testnet though.
Yeah, but you still like the thing with mainnet is that you can have rogue.
You can't make mistakes,
and you can also have rogue miners being bribed, so they choose different types of blocks to process. Which, if you're rolling it up, and for what I hear with Arch is that all of the transactions have to be in order. Once you submit it, there's no way to like reconfigure it. And I think if you have a miner who goes and, mines a block in a different order or is paid, maybe that fucks up the process in some capacity. I don't know for sure, but that's kind of what I've been hearing.
So I'm just excited to kind of see that in action, right? That's when I'll get super bullish on Arch. I mean, I'm already bullish on Matt and the team and stuff like that, but
me too.
I kind of like, I need to see it.
Yeah. Arch had their own, I guess, event. It was at the same event place as Inscribing Vegas. One thing I noticed about the Bitcoin conference was a lot of the events were all in the same place. So like there was a bunch of places or a bunch of events at the Luminarium. That's where Inscribing Vegas and the Arch thing and a few others. There were a ton of events at the Mike Tyson's mansion. There was like 5 or 6 parties there. Then there was obviously a handful of like private events at like Omnia, which was the club that I used to work at, and restaurants and different things like that. But full force, I actually had 2 different conversations with 2 people ask me how tough it is to buy a casino and turn it into a crypto casino. I was like, it is very difficult. And you gotta go through the gaming control board. It's not as simple as just throwing some Bitcoin at it. So there's a lot of interest, which just goes through with what I had talked about 10 years ago when I got into Bitcoin, when I was working in the nightclub, that Vegas would become a crypto capital in some capacity. So I think this is kind of the early starts to it. Maybe 5 years from now, it'll be very apparent, but yeah, exciting. So you guys better come next year. It was a lot of fun.
I do plan on going next year. Seriously. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I did have a little FOMO once. Like we had community members like hanging out with each other, and that's awesome. And they're partying and staying out till like 5 a.m. and still trying to be the first comment in our thing. I'm just like, you guys are crazy.
Danny actually did it. Danny was actually like, he stayed up all night to be the first comment in our show, but pretty wild. But yeah, man. But you guys, obviously hustle. We talked about that a lot, but you're also doing pretty amazing stuff with the NFTs and the ordinals and stuff and jumping them. You actually recently jumped an ordinal collection or some of them to a chain. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So finally, after 2 years, we finally got Emblem 2.0 up and running. So we launched our first collection, Taproot Wizards. We had a bunch of people in the community ask why, or people from Taproot Wizards community in the comments not understanding what the point of this was. But it was actually, well, first from a technical standpoint, great achievement for us. Again, we started Emblem 2.0 in July of 2023. Wow. And now we have the first collection laid down on ETH mainnet. So huge movement there. Finally take a sigh of relief because now we can finally launch bulk minting. We're launching, the dev team is now working on base right now for some collections. But the reason why is Gandhi actually requested it from us. So Gandhi is the largest NFT lending platform in the industry. They have like about 5% of all punks and loans. And they have our Rare Puppet collection and our Spells Justice collection. I think they might have puppets and a few of the other ones on there that we have deployed. I don't know for sure. But they said that they have been getting a ton of requests to lend Taproot Wizards on Gandhi. So they asked us to do it. And so we launched it. And I think they're going to put a marketing campaign behind it maybe next week or the week after. So very exciting times there. But this just means now we can basically deploy any collection on ETH mainnet using the brand new system. This means that it's a whole new architecture. It's much easier than to move assets between chains. So once we get on base, we can build this jump function to where you can move. If you have your Taproot Wizards on ETH mainnet, you can move it to base in basically one click. It's just, yeah, there's no bridge wait time or anything like that. You just move it. And so this creates like a very interoperable NFT ecosystem where you can basically farm your token on any chain based off of whatever protocol wants to offer rewards. You know, we're still probably a year or two away from that becoming like a very apparent thing. So we're kind of really just building for the future. But really exciting that is finally done, man. That was a monkey on our back for 2 years.
Yeah, man. Can that actually be like a headless product as well? Could like Gandhi actually have a tab that says a vault your ordinal here, and then we'll handle everything in the back end?
Yeah, so with the new Emblem SDK, we actually have Bunzi, our front end dev, we're actually building a new minting site, and it's going to be built on top of our SDK, where anybody can just build their own Emblem minting portal directly into their website. So we're going about it in a very programmatic way. So we'll have a new front end hopefully here in the next few months that looks and feels a lot more similar to what a fungible token bridge looks like, and very modernized to where it will have its own MCP server, so we can integrate Agent Hustle into it, or the Agent Hustle, whether we call it Agent Hustle or we white label it to something else. But you'll have an AI then that you can talk with on the new site that can give you recommendations on NFT trading, on vaulting optimizations, on kind of whatever we program it to wherever the company is kind of at the time. And that's the most powerful thing. Like, for example, while we were at Bitcoin Vegas, we have a Hustle MCP server, and Ordiscan has an MCP server. So an independent developer went and bridged the two things together and created 29 tools, AI tools for ordinals. And so from there, once we integrate, we're going to integrate this into Hustle. Once we get the subscription service live, you'll be able to use Agent Hustle to query any type of information for BRC20, for runes, for inscriptions, for basically anything of the on-chain economy that exists through Ordiscan. And that was all just done by an independent developer who now is actually building a web extension. I think he's calling it Agent Hustle Pro, kind of similar to like what Hanon is doing with their HUD product. But instead of HUD, which is doing AI trend lines and stuff on charts, Hustle, you'll be able to use him on any website to talk with. And also, I think he's adding buy buttons for all types of tokens and things like that. So that's the empowerment of having, you know, an SDK and an MCP. And so for Emblem Vault, the SDK has been basically rebuilt. And to whatever you see live on our site, any developer could basically go and build it directly into their site.
Is the SDK open source, or you guys?
Yeah.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, SDK. So how would an SDK, software development kit? So, for example, the majority of teams, they either offer third-party APIs or basically an SDK. And so so
you don't charge for the SDK, but you charge for the API.
Yeah, so API is like, but the APIs are within the SDK as well. So SDK is like something that's a lot more comprehensive. So for example, when we built Emblem Markets, we're using the Reservoir SDK, which means basically you can build kind of your own marketplace, where an API is basically you're just pulling the data. The SDK gives you the financial tooling to build the, you know, for example, with Emblem Markets, to add buy and sell, to do swaps, or to do sweeps, to do bidding and all these things. That type of stuff exists in the SDK. And so we're building a Hustle SDK as well. So whatever you see on agenthustle.ai or whatever you see on emblem.vision, you can basically build that directly into your site or white label it however you want.
Yeah. It's exciting just to be at this stage of infrastructure and not just Bitcoin. I mean, we're talking about AI incorporated with, the Solana and then Bitcoin and the EVM side that you guys are going to be involved with. So, for the audience, I mean, I think, when they say being at the right place at the right time, I think for our space, this is now. Right. It might not seem extra bullish because we're not in alt season. We haven't had this crazy, 2021 moment yet. But this is stuff that's being built out for decades to come, kind of situation, right? Do you feel the same way with that?
Yeah, of course. It's something that we had always thought about, something we knew was coming. You're still waiting on a few kind of larger, impactful things to happen, like a market structure bill and a stablecoin bill in the US, but everybody's coming, right? You have Circle that just IPO'd and is, continuing to climb. It's up like 3x or 4x from where the IPO is. And the Bitcoin ecosystem, on a more micro scale, you have all these developers that are building. The community is now more accepting of chain abstraction, which is a huge point. I would say the industry is actually much more accepting now of chain abstraction. And so you're going to get all of these cross-chain DeFi protocols and cross-chain applications that eventually, kind of wipes away and eliminates maximalism finally. And this is where you kind of get the really true, on-chain ownership economy where you can move these assets between these different chains. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe the L1 of where you want to issue your tokens will matter, right? So like, because if you issued an NFT on Bitcoin versus Solana versus ETH, you're getting much different cultures that come with that. So the culture is generally created and cultivated on the L1, but then you take these assets other places if you need to for specific reasons. And Bitcoin is, has the opportunity to kind of lead that from the NFT side of things and maybe from the Rune side of things. And yeah, it finally feels right. The only issue with Bitcoin is that the development takes much longer. So the community has to be much more patient. I think this is why people say Rune suck, is because Bitcoin, to scale on Bitcoin, it takes just a lot longer time. There's less capital. It's a smaller community. And you don't want to have to try to build the same exact experience Solana has. You need to have your own kind of niches and your own different culture that comes with it. So it may take a little bit longer at this point in time. Maybe the DEX battle doesn't really start until, Q4 or so. We're about to enter Q3. And then maybe it takes, a few quarters. So maybe by this point next year, we'll know who's kind of like the main Rune decks. And I guess it just depends on the community if you have the patience to really kind of wait that out and see. But you chose Bitcoin for a reason, so you should understand kind of the implications.
How do you win in a DEX battle? I think a DEX battle is the worst case scenario because we're already pretty stagnant, right? Because there's liquidity in different pockets and you can't ever get a good price for anything.
Liquidity consolidates over time, though. Like you see this with Uniswap, right? When Uniswap launched, there was SushiSwap, there was 1inch, right? There was all these other kind of competitors. Eventually, after 2-3 years, Uniswap ended up commanding 80%.
So there's going to be a winner, basically. Well, someone's going to have to win.
Somebody will win, yeah. There's also a situation, which I call like the village theory, which is like because Bitcoin's liquidity is so large, you can have 2 or 3 or 4 different types of fungible token standards exist and still attract liquidity. Maybe it won't be like the main winner, like Runes, right, who will command the majority of it. But you can have these different protocols exist for specific reasons, right? Like DMT exists and has a very specific purpose. It's never going to compete with Runes, but it could still get a decent size to where people can win and the community can kind of flourish. So I think it really depends, right? Because you have counterparty's not going away. You have BRC20, that's not going away. You have Runes, that's not going away. Outside of that, I would say it's kind of TBD because the rest of the protocols are venture-backed protocols, which is a little bit tough. But those 3 are not. Those 3 started organically without any capital backing. So I don't see those going away anytime.
That's true.
Yeah,
man.
Great points, man. Great points. And it's going to be interesting, but I do think that there needs to be a home base though, and that if you have a home base, then you have more chance for mass adoption. Everybody knows on Ethereum, you go to Uniswap now, on pretty much any other big EVM chain as well. Uniswap's taking that market share. And then on Solana, we pretty much know that you're going to go to Jupiter or Radium. But see, that's where I think it can get okay. Jupiter.
So you'll need like
Radium.
an aggregator, right? Because Jupiter is an aggregator. Radium
Well, isn't
is
Meteor?
Like
I thought Meteora was the aggregator. No,
Meteor is an LP provider.
Okay.
So basically, Jupiter, they do have kind of their own swaps, but they aggregate it from Radium and from all of these other ones. And they ended up winning because they also built out like a suite of other tools as well.
Yeah.
But with Bitcoin specifically, right? You have Magic Eden, you'll have kind of like the Arch Network ecosystem with Saturn, you have DotSwap. And I feel pretty confident that Runes is going to win. I think it just has the most infrastructure, the most interest overall. We'll see, how the competition kind of goes. There, who offers kind of incentives, but I still think, like, to put it as simply as possible, whoever wins Dog wins the battle is kind of how I see it. Dog is 50% of the market cap, if not more.
70.
It'll
75.
It'll continue to grow. It'll continue to grow. But there's also this other kind of possibility where instead of a DEX focusing on all of the tokens, you can kind of get a specific niche, right? Kind of like what if you look at Solana with all their different launch pads, you see all the launch pads now kind of carving out their own niche, right? Like Believe is internet capital markets and whatever the hell that means. I guess it's just like builders, like they're just
utility projects,
right? They're right, and so I think there will be a lot of utility projects on Bitcoin. I mean, right now Liquidium's the largest. Emblem, our goal is to be the largest infrastructure project on Runes. That's why we chose to go. So, healthy competition. And there's a handful of other teams that are utility projects on Runes as well. And, we'll compete. But, the best case scenario is you have a lot of teams come in and build, and you can have a DEX come in, just focus on, actual builders getting their, token off the ground, integrating a launch pad or something like that. It doesn't have to be all about meme coins. And I've been saying this for a long time, that I think people in the community trying to brand Runes as Bitcoin meme coins was like the dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's just like, meme coins will exist. It's not going to be the whole idea. It's just people playing bag bias. But utility projects, infrastructure projects, the market is much larger than meme coins. It'll always be much larger than meme coins. And so to cut yourself that short, I think is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But
Bitcoin tokens is good.
Yeah, I don't know. Just call them Runes. Like, they're called Runes. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, to me, like, they're like, we have to attract normies. Like, being in Bitcoin on this isn't normie friendly. It might not be normie friendly for another few years. So you just got to attract people who actually build value. Like, that's literally what you need to do instead of extracting value. And that's why you see all these other meme coins outside of Dog is basically gone to zero. I mean, you have Mem that's still kind of doing well. And I think Pups is like somewhat around, but Dog is the only one that actually built value, right? And so, and they built value by bringing new people to Runes. Like, they literally onboarded South America to Runes, right?
Very true.
None of these other projects have been able to do that so far. I do hold a handful of these as well, of Runes outside of Dog, but Dog's the only one that's been purposeful. And Liquidium seems to be in that right direction as well, in terms of their announcement and more volume coming into their token and such.
Absolutely. And I think you need a healthy utility ecosystem environment with tokens too, as well, which I think you guys have your place. Liquidium has their place. Fluid will have their place. So, there's going to be an ecosystem built, but I actually think ICM Launchpad makes the most sense in the Bitcoin ecosystem because, the way ICM Launchpads work is if you have like a legitimate project, you launch it, you earn 1% or 1.5% of the trading fees to get you going. It's like a startup type of Launchpad, right? But imagine those trading fees were in Bitcoin. right? You were earning that in Bitcoin. You at the same time as like some runway, you kind of are starting your Bitcoin little strategic reserve as well, right? And if you are that impactful in terms of what you're bringing to the table, you could easily, I say easily, as in like if you're doing well, you could hit $100 million in volume over 6 months or whatever, and you earn $1 million in Bitcoin. That is gonna, you look at it as like this growing asset when you zoom out, right? So I don't know. I just think it makes the most sense on Bitcoin. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I can share kind of my own experience with like launching Tensorium on Pump Fund, right? So we're like a legit builder team, but this whole time now, 6 months later, we don't have any access to those LP fees, right? And also, right, we don't have any access to, you know, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been added to that liquidity pool. We don't have access to changing the metadata, right? We don't have access to anything around it, and it's a big issue for us, right? So we're actively looking into different ways on how we can, you know, create a successful migration to a new token. With that, you know, with that comes a lot of capital.
Whoa.
Yeah, with that comes a lot of capital. I mean, this is an issue that a lot of AI builders are facing. I've talked with a handful of VCs who've reached out to us with interest. The issue with the end of last year was that you have all of these AI projects that launched on Solana, and there's two issues now, 6 months later. None of these teams have any of the tokens because it was all fairly launched, and none of these teams have access to the LP fees. And so it's kind of a double whammy to where your token basically becomes monopolized by, you know, self market makers, which I've definitely seen. Been watching Tensorium, and it's like a handful of whales just market making the token, right? And without being able to own a percentage of that supply, you're kind of stuck in this like forever loop where the token just moves kind of wherever their way is, unless you can buy it back. So we have some ideas on how to fix this. I've heard of other ideas that some venture capital firms have reached, or hedge funds, I guess you could call them, have reached out to us about what other teams are doing. And so trying to take that all into consideration. But the reason why I bring this up is that on Bitcoin, you know, the same kind of thing could happen. This is we were on the show and I was talking about this with Odin Fund. Odin Fund, I like Bob. I talked with Bob multiple times last conference. He's a really good guy. But Odin Fund is not built for projects. It's built for meme coins. Like, and that's a big issue. Like, you don't. There's no way to pull the token off of Odin Fund in a successful way that's beneficial to projects, right? And
You
so
can't bring LP pool,
and you can't take the LP pool, like you can't coordinate a way to remove all of them off the platform. When you launch them on ICP, it's stuck on ICP basically forever. I mean, you can move the tokens out, but let's say you have 500 people, 500 holders after a token graduates. There's no way you're going to be able to convince 500 token holders to withdraw to go to a different ecosystem.
Not even
so,
50. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Really impossible.
Yeah,
People just don't do it.
It's tough. And so, you know, on Bitcoin, there is nothing there is no launchpad that's beneficial to the builder. Obviously, Runes and BRC20 have this kind of self-mint mechanic in it itself. And Runes, you can pre-inscribe, or you can kind of hold back some of the supply, which is great. But the people on Bitcoin, they don't want to participate in that. But you can always go to the base layer of Runes to do that as a builder, which I think is a lot more beneficial. And so if you want to have a thriving kind of utility ecosystem, or call it, I guess the new word is infra ecosystem. People want to move away from utility, I've been reading. So if you want to have a successful infra project ecosystem, right, you need to be attractive to builders. And right now, there is nothing on Runes outside of a smart team just coming in and knowing how the Runes protocol works and being able to build a marketing strategy around keeping back some of the supply, and then having the community kind of in the rest.
Yeah, but the best part of that is there's a lot of opportunity, right? There's opportunity to build that. Other places, there's not a lot of opportunity because a lot of stuff's already been built, like all the ideas. But we're the only ecosystem where you can kind of take, you know, the other chains' ideas and bring them here because no one has done it yet. But you got to do that in a different way, and it's not going to be nowhere near as easy as just forking something. So I think that's one best thing about our ecosystem. We're so early. We're too early. actually.
It's painful,
So-
man. I've heard it, you know, the entire like 9 years that I've been here.
Yeah.
You're always early to something. You can be early to the kind of macro, right? Being early to Bitcoin, that's over. Being early to Ethereum, that's over. Being
Yeah.
early to Solana, kind of still early to Solana. But all these
Well,
other intra ecosystems, like that is extremely early, but obviously comes with insane upside. I mean, the reason why Bunzi, myself, and a handful of other people tried to build OmniSat 2 years ago when BRC20 launched was because at that time I was like, dude, if you could be the DEX on Bitcoin 5 years from now, it'd be $1 billion company.
Yeah.
That
right?
foresight, man. That's foresight.
But you know who kind of got really wrecked by being too early were the VCs from that came out of the 2023 ordinals and Bitcoin fungibles boom. Man, they went like head first into like Bitcoin layer 2s and all these things in 2024, but a lot of them were from the East. And I think a lot of the East doesn't like to sit on stuff. And so for them, they were just like, once they realized they were too early, they were just trying to sell down everything they had and then get out. And so I feel like if now is like, the West actually saw that, and now the West investors are on time. I feel like, you know what I mean? They're the ones that have the drapers and stuff. They are pouring into the Bitcoin ecosystem right now. And it was, Shizzy, you and I were both a little shocked. We were like, what is this happening right now? It's weird. We thought the Bitcoin ecosystem was dormant. And all of a sudden we're hearing like, you know, this team got 14 million. This team's getting 1 million. This team's getting 3 million. And so unfortunately, a lot of those East VCs, they were too early, but now these Western VCs might be on time, and we'll see here if I'm still in the thesis that I think the Bitcoin ecosystem is the biggest play of the cycle, but we're not going to probably see it until Q4, maybe Q1 of next year.
Yeah, you know, that's exactly kind of what we had planned with Emblem keys. That was the whole kind of strategy behind it. It's going pretty well. So for us, you know, we just have to continue to execute, continue to grow revenue, and continue to create different types of projects. Agent Hustle is built on top of Emblem, and then to expand Emblem. And we've also been working on a different project in the background that once Hustle is into a stable position, then we'll launch that, which I think can be somewhat revolutionary for the gamification of NFTs through Emblem Vault. But you got to focus on one project at a time. Like to build a lot of things. Yeah, gamification.
Exactly.
The NFT ecosystem is still there for the taking.
Oh yeah.
Like the broader, right, the quote unquote the pump fund of NFTs, which is essentially just a way to get people to mint NFTs and gamify and trade and do all these things. Like I'm not saying an NFT launchpad is the right thing. I'm saying it's the NFT gamification of something.
Having something fun to bring that fun back. Yeah.
And I think using Emblem Vault tech, where Emblem's the only technology that allows NFTs to trade on all chains and interact with all chains. So there's some cool products there. And that's why we're building that SDK, is that once people realize we'll have a product, I think a lot of people will be like, oh shit, you can do this. Like, oh, what about if you can do that? Right. And we have the same idea with Agent Hustle, where it's like we have some builders who are now building, you know, there's two main builders I know. There's the Leonidas Rune project that's using the Agent Hustle MCP. Then you have this other guy who's building Agent Hustle Pro, I guess is the running name. But I think once these are live, then people will be like, oh shit, you could do this. Oh, I could do that kind of idea. And so we have the same vision for both of them. Obviously, one token is on Solana, one token is on Bitcoin, but they will, the tokens will exist in their respective domains, but the technologies can be mixed and matched to amplify both of them.
Okay. Really quick, because we know you have an extensive kind of knowledge on NFTs, historical NFTs. One of our topics for our live stream today was Yuga Labs making these moves, right? Offloading Moonbirds. They already offloaded CryptoPunks, and now they're trying to kind of move ApeCoin into like this meme category. And Shizzy asked me, are they in trouble? How do you feel about that? Is Yuga in trouble, or is this more of a strategic, maybe blueprint copying Abstract and what they're doing?
Smart builders. I think for them, they got caught up in the hype, and they basically were co-opted by their investors to make moves that maybe they thought were right at the time ended up being horrifically wrong. And I think it just kind of like their whole situation kind of highlights that crypto natives run crypto natives. To have an outsider come in and participate without putting the work in rarely ever works. And to the largest degree of even like at World Liberty Fi, right, you have like the literal president and their sons building a crypto project that nobody wants to participate in, everyone hates, right? So it's like the outsiders will never win.
Yeah.
You got to come in and put the work in. And so, do I agree with everything Yuga Labs has done? No. But I think from, putting my builder hat on, once the Yuga team got back into position after that old Blizzard CEO left, they started unwinding everything that they had not constructed. The previous team tried to take a Microsoft approach of being basically a holdings company. Like Microsoft's just a holding company of tech companies. They basically became, Yuga Labs was like a holdings company of IP of all types. Turns out that because maybe they wanted to put it into other side, I guess. But turns out that was a terrible decision. And so now they're just unwinding it. And I think they're smart to unwind the DAO because DAOs are cool. They're definitely good in certain situations, but the majority of time you don't need DAOs. Just like the majority of times you don't need tokens for projects as well. Like there's a use case for them. So I do think remove that kind of bureaucracy that exists with ApeCoin, allow it to just exist, and allow the community to come in and build their own projects that integrate ApeCoin, I think is really smart to do. So, Yuga Labs may have like one of the best comebacks ever of a company here. Some of their decisions like acquiring Moonbirds, although they did get the Moonbirds treasury, they probably had some capital restraints on some of these decisions that they had to do. But I like everything that they're doing. I think they're kind of in like war mode, kind of like what you're seeing Vitalik get into right now, and OpenSea. Vitalik recently, right? He basically, I guess you'd say 180'd on the L2 vision that they're still going to do. And he's basically scaling the L1 now. I actually thought he was going to like stick to the L2 vision, which is basically, saying you were wrong and moving forward. OpenSea, I still think OpenSea has some revolutionary stuff coming. It seems kind of like a LARP, but that was also one of my 2025 predictions was OpenSea would have some really interesting technology. But we'll see. People love OpenSea. The one thing I learned about OpenSea when we created Emblem Markets was 0% trading fees. People would happily pay 2.5% to trade on OpenSea because they're familiar with it. They like it. People are now stuck in that habit, and that is where liquidity is. And they own Seaport, so they will never actually go away because they own all of the underlying technology to the whole NFT ecosystem. But good for you. Good for Yuga. Smart by the builders. I guess you just kind of have to see what happens next as a kind of slimmed down company.
Yeah, man. I agree. And like a lot of your predictions have been right so far. I'm not gonna lie. You predicted the upward sideways. So you've been dead on so far. So I'm not gonna bet against you. We're getting to the end here. I have one more question for you. So obviously we're in the summer now. Let's just say we're in August. What does a successful summer feel like in August? So what have you guys done throughout the summer for August to be successful?
From like the Emblem side of things?
Let's just say you look back like, we had a successful summer. Like what does that look like?
So I'd like Emblem to be on 2 or 3 chains. We've successfully have kind of 2 devs then working on Emblem Vision, 2 devs working on Agent Hustle full time. We're kind of in that transition period right now, but getting to the end. From the Emblem Vault side of things, the bulk minting tool, like to see our new front end live, again, on 3 or 4 different chains, some partnerships on each of the chains. So like partnered with all the lending protocols on each of these chains, any type of NFT gamification platform you want to be partnered with, whatever the marketplace is, would be good. And honestly, getting, the ordinals and Bitcoin community a little bit more familiar with Emblem. I know a lot of ordinals holders are very resistant to Emblem, unfortunately, whereas the counterparty community is not. So this is where I also hope that our kind of NFT gamification platform would be live at that point in time as well, also with a successful Keys TGE that comes online at Bitcoin block 915,000.
It's coming up.
It's coming up. Yeah, we just passed 900,000. It's going to be a slow rollout of keys. We did this purposely. So by the end of October, November, there'll be about 35% distributed, which will be 20% to the founder vaults, and then 15% to the Coval migrators. And then maybe we'll get our kind of point system live once all of that's functional, which people can participate. On the agent hustle side of things, probably, let's see. We'd want our subscription service definitely live by then. Expansion to Bitcoin, our announcement of our new tokenomics system, I think should definitely be live by then. A successful mobile app would be pretty good. And then a successful developer build out where people are using the Hustle SDK to build successful projects. I think that's where our edge is. I think Agent Hustle is the best AI that exists in crypto. There are other developers that are shipping better, I guess you could say like financial instruments and stuff. But in terms of talking with Agent Hustle's crypto knowledge and the way that he has a memory capabilities, I think that is the best. So getting users to build with Agent Hustle. And then obviously you hope that the tokens are at like $1 bajillion based off of, all the
bajillion,
use, right? That's what you want for both of those.
That's a huge number, Jake. I don't know.
Yeah, that's. I was like, man, but hey, he's CEO. Right? He does the expectation.
That's our ship. Yeah. Yep. Honestly, a lot of the things I said are kind of plans for the next like month or two. We're still a smaller team, so if funding comes in, right, if any of these tokens take off or further funding comes in, then obviously this plus probably a bunch more happen. I would like to hire another 1 or 2 developers to the team. If we had like 6 developers, I think that'd be kind of like pretty good. But you got to work with the resources that you have and operate in the market that exists. There's no crying in the casino. There's also no crying from a builder. You just got to kind of continue forward. So it's going to be a good summer for us. If not, I think we're going to be in a fucking shitload of trouble. So there's only...
No, y'all are going to be fine.
I think we'll be fine. The team is good. It's again, having Emblem 2.0 live is like the biggest sigh of relief. Like that was something we'd been working on for 2 years. The big struggle was taking the Emblem 1.0 system, merging it into Emblem 2.0, and then allowing other developers to kind of work on it. Very, very tricky process. Lots of thorns in the path, what you did, fucking navigate, fucking white picket fence, standing on it. Like it was tough, but now that that's live, it should be loosening up some of our other devs to be working on things. And I think it'll be a very good summer heading into the Keys TGE. And then also on the Solana side of things, the new Hustle tokenomics that'll be announced.
Awesome. I'm excited, Jake, man. Absolutely amazing. Even if 80% of that or 60% of that happens, you guys are going to be in a good position, in my opinion.
Let's go. That's the goal.
The SDK, from a business perspective, can really get going like a snowball flywheel effect to where you guys can, because you will it'll trickle down, right? Or it's more of like you guys get a cut, right, off of everything.
Yeah, the goal. I think the goal for every crypto project is to do B2B, right? Because then you don't have to deal with the retail side of things. And I love retail, but I don't have to deal with the Wynn marketing people consistently every day, or the Wynn token launch or Wise number not going up kind of.
Because that's fun, right?
It's a blast having to tell the same people the same thing every day, right? So a lot of the community members are really good, but there's always the trolls or the people who basically invested too much or they bought the top, right, that you kind of have to deal with. And I understand, I've been in that position as well, but from a builder side of things, just building tools for builders to do things is much it's much more lucrative, number one, but I would say it's a lot more soulful, so that I'm not frustrated all the time at the community and they're not frustrated at us. So that's definitely the goal. That's been a goal since I joined the team 3 years ago. And I think now almost 3 months from now, 4 months from now will be my 3 years at Emblem. And so that's generally what they say with startups. It generally takes about 3 years to kind of build that vision out. And I just consider me joining Emblem as day one from my standpoint. So we'll continue forward and we're going to continue to grow. And yeah, appreciate you guys for hosting me as always. Always a great conversation. You guys are crushing it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much as well for, taking your time out of your day. We know you're super busy. Look forward to next week as well. And I guess until then, try to relax on the weekend, man.
No sleeps, man. We work on Saturdays with some of our devs, and then Sundays generally the day off. Ooh. So we'll see. I'll see you guys soon.
Sounds good, man.
You, Jake.
Take it easy.
Absolutely bullish, dude. I'm bullish on Jake's build. I'm bullish on Emblem Vault, man. It's awesome. We get to spend an hour with him every week, right? Like, I mean, could be one of the biggest companies to come out of crypto, and we're sitting here talking to the CEO once a week. And you guys are watching us have such an advantage over everybody else because you're putting the time in, you're putting that work in to understand what Emblem Vault is, what they're building, and you just heard potentially what success looks like for the summer. And if those things do happen, I mean, potentially those keys or that token, if you do, decide to do whatever you do, you could make out like a bandit.
Yeah, and look, they have one of the most popular AI tools in programs. Basically, that's what Hustle is, right? In Solana's ecosystem and in the overall crypto AI ecosystem, I think they rank like number 3 in terms of mindshare. So that's huge to be able to create that. And then that's going to be coming over to Bitcoin as well. So super exciting stuff, guys. I think that wraps up our show, right? Or we got a couple.
That's it. I did with this one last thing. So I put something on my X that I was like, will Kraken get listed? And I quoted the show. Will Dog get listed on Kraken today? And I think so. So we got to talk about it a little bit. We got like a crap load of 62 likes on that. So nice. I just wanted to. I asked you the question. Will Dog get listed on Kraken today?
Well, I mean, how much more of today do we have, right? Like, we're I mean, it's pretty early in the Central time zone, but like really early for we're on the West Coast. Look, but that still gives us about I don't know, for me about probably like I think 5 more hours of business time, right? So I would say no. I would say no on a Friday. But look,
what about Monday?
Possibly. And one thing I actually thought about was this. Binance has been doing this kind of off-chain, on-chain thing because they, have BSC to be able to do that. It's been working out really great for them and their new tokens. What if Kraken is developing this kind of like on-chain situation for runes as well? You know what I mean? Yeah. And kind of an extended part. They do have this new product that's called Crack that's coming out. I know that might be more of like the, slingshot thing, but who knows? They have been building infrastructure stuff for the Bitcoin ecosystem, so that could be something. But yeah, I don't think the listing is going to happen today, but it will happen. They have said it, so just be patient, guys.
Yeah, and I was told in my messages, multiple people messaged me during the show, and they said, "Hey, they're talking about you in the tap spaces today." So I guess like my comments from yesterday. So I'm gonna go listen to the Bitcoin, whatever they call it, 2 or something, season 2. But I'm gonna be checking that out. So yeah, so if I was mentioned in that, thank you. Any publicity is good publicity from my standpoint. But that's our show, guys. We have 812 people watching on YouTube and X. Wow, I'm gonna say that again. 816 people watching on YouTube and X. I really appreciate you guys, man. Giving us your time means everything to us. Thank you so much. But that's not to mention everyone on Twitch, Kick, Rumble, and Abstract. We are everywhere, guys, and we'll be on Spotify later when I upload this stream. But I appreciate every single one of you guys, man.
Absolutely, guys. And, without you guys, we couldn't do this Monday through Friday, which we love to do. We're passionate about this, but also without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to start off with Sats Terminal is the aggregator DEX swap. So they aggregate from all the other DEXs that have liquidity. So they're going to find the most liquid, the best pricing for your dog. Go to the moon. You can actually swap it directly at satsterminal.com. And if it's your first time connecting your wallet, you get 1,000 Amber points. Amber points are going to be very important for the future alpha of Sats Terminal. You can kind of put 2 and 2 together and put, come up with your own logic there. But let's just say we are collecting as many Amber points as we can. But you're going to be able to find all the popular runes there. You can see the ticker at the top that shows all the trending ones there. You can actually swap for popular alkanes as well, as they have alkane support as well. But runes, definitely satsterminal.com. They're going to have their bridge. We actually showed a sneak peek week of that during the Wednesday segment when we had that team on with us. So exciting stuff coming with this team. Head over to satsterminal.com, collect all the Amber points. You can see how you could do that there, so you're in the game. And then BetBTC is the predictions marketplace for the Bitcoin ecosystem. All you need is a Bitcoin wallet, some Bitcoin, and 6 Bitcoin blocks, and you can start placing bets in their markets. Right now, their active markets are the Blitz markets. You get 10 minutes to lock in a price that you think is going to go up or down for Bitcoin, Solana, or BNB. You can select which token you want to work with there, and then you get an additional 10 minutes to see if you were right or wrong. It's a pretty fun game there, but be responsible, of course, because it is kind of this perp style or leverage style approach. But in the future, guys, you're going to be able to create your own markets. There's going to be some amazing things coming from this team, and you're going to be able to earn up to 1.5% of the total volume of your market. So if you are have an amazing following, you're good at social media followings, and you do $100 million in volume over a span of 3 months, that's $1.5 million that you can actually earn for your pocket, right? So it's going to get competitive. It's going to be fun though once that happens. Check them out at betbtc.win and dive into their docs and join their community over there on their Discord. And then Emblem Vault, we just had Jake up for an hour. This team is crushing it. They are the interoperability tooling for Bitcoin ordinals or NFTs on Bitcoin, like the counterparty stuff. You're going to be able to jump those from Bitcoin layer 1 to Abstract to Ethereum to Merlin, Bitcoin layer 2 to all types of EVM chains, and eventually Solana as well. And you will eventually be able to use Agent AI Hustle to help you. Right now, you can use Hustle to kind of help you through the jungles of Solana to help you trade, because over there, you don't want to be alone. I'm telling you, especially if you're new. And Hustle is a great research tool, assistant to let you know, you can ask questions like, what's the most safe 2x opportunity in Solana? And he will give you his response, right? So, just get familiar with Hustle. You can head over to was it agenthustle.ai? Oh, you're on mute, but okay, agenthustle.ai. And then, right now it is free. There is no token gated model, but eventually there will be their token integrated in access with it. But you can try it out right now. And then don't forget about their runes, Bitcoin runes TGE that's coming around September. You can actually participate in a pre-sale environment if you head over to OpenSea and search Emblem Founder Vaults over there. It is an ERC 721, so it's an NFT. But once you get close to the TGE, they will give you instructions on how to get those Bitcoin runes into your Bitcoin wallet. Head over to emblem.vision. Dive into their docs, dive into their community today. And then Artura.finance is the perps and leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They're going to be launching on Hemi Bitcoin Layer 2, backed by Binance Labs, as well as Botonics. I believe the Botonics launch is going to probably be coming first, but they're going to be doing some co-marketing with Botonics. It's going to be really exciting, guys. But you're going to be able to trade synthetic Bitcoin fungibles on Artura, like Doggo to the Moon, $1 Billion Cat, Ordi, perhaps Sats, and then the popular tokens outside the ecosystem, the TAOs, the XRPs, the Ethereums. And then let's say you don't want to participate in trading. That's okay. You can actually add liquidity to their vaults to kind of participate and earn passively there. Dive into their documentation at Artura.finance. Join their Discord, because they have like experienced traders that kind of guide you and give you tips and tricks. And we are doing a series actually with Artura with those experienced traders. So make sure you go to our YouTube page into the library and watch some of the past episodes there. It's really, really interesting there. Head over to Artura.finance, learn more about that team. And then Fluid tokens, we talked about them earlier. If you staked your dog for season 2, make sure you head over to fluidtokens.com, click on the Bitcoin side, and unstake your dog so you can get your rewards and your original dogs that you staked, dog tokens. And then if you are a founder,
don't stake your dogs.
Don't stake your dogs, but stake your dog tokens, because you can earn more. But if you're a founder of an ordinal collection or runes, you etch the runes with an established community, you want a staking vault for your community like Pep Odins did, Sparks did it, head over to their Discord. They have a team that's ready to answer any questions that you guys have. It's exciting to do that for your community because they can earn, right? Also, there's an airdrop tool if you want to airdrop runes to your community. Click on the airdrop tab there, and then you can follow the steps. You can either upload a lot of addresses with a CSV file, or you can do it manually one by one. But it is very cost efficient and very fast. That team is just crushing it over there, adding new tools for the Bitcoin ecosystem and the Cardano ecosystem as well. Right now, they have their Aquarium platform that's available for Cardano users. You can earn Babel fees by participating in that as well. Head over to fluidtokens.com, join their communities, their Discord, all that great stuff. And then Tokyo Wallet is the multi-chain smart wallet. If you have an Apple iPhone, head over to the Apple App Store, download that. If you have an Android, head over to Google Play, download it there. You can swap for Bitcoin runes, Doggo to the Moon, because they partnered with Sats Terminal in the app, guys. Amazing stuff there. They're trying to make this a one-stop shop. On the Cardano side, you can actually swap for SNEC. So it is built for Cardano Bitcoin, and eventually there's going to be another environment, and their plan is to not really stop with that, right? They want you guys to have a one-stop shop in one place, and you can actually find Alpha, including us, on their Alpha section there, along with Cryptos R Us and other popular crypto YouTube channels. Make sure you head over there. You can learn about their token, that is a Cardano token. You can learn about what their entire team and what they're about there at Tokyo.io. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength with the power of AI with their Wizard 0.03 AI that can guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem. It can help you stake, swap, and speaking of staking, you can actually stake and help secure the chain with their proof of stake. If you go to merlinchain.io and click on stake, you can actually stake for the day-to-day, and you'll earn 15% APR. But when you do withdraw from that one, it does take 7 days, so just know that. And then there's a new 6-month term staking that you can earn 45% APR, and you're actually able to withdraw your rewards on a daily basis with that one. But these are big boy decisions, big boy and girls decisions. So make sure you research and make that decision yourself. But these options are here, and this is pretty generous APR. So head over to merlinchain.io, learn as much as you can about them. Their team and founder is amazing, constantly grinding for new partnerships. They have their partnership with Wrap Bitcoin DAO. They have their partnerships with Binance Alpha and now Binance Perp. So big things and big builders coming to Merlin Chain. We know a couple. So head over to merlinchain.io and dive in there to learn more. And lastly is our integrated partners in Jungle, which was formerly Foxy AI, building the metaverse on Bitcoin called the Bitverse, and their first-person shooter game called Cypher Striker, which we typically live stream every Tuesday, but right now we're on a break. We want them to kind of finish up the development of that game. We'll let you know when we pick that back up. And Ordinal Hive is the Ordinal DEX aggregator, or not DEX, Ordinal aggregator marketplace, I should say. Kind of like what Sats Terminal is doing, but for Ordinals on the Ordinal side, you're going to be able to find their trader tools as well, like live mempool insights and some other awesome tools for traders if you head over there. But we thank you guys so much for hanging out with us this entire time, 2 hours and 40 minutes, 832 of you guys. Thank you so much.
It doesn't feel that long, does it? I don't think it feels 2 hours and 40 minutes. It might. I don't know. But let's, if you guys have a few more minutes, I know it's been a while, but if you guys wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. At first, we were just doing ordinal stuff, but now we're doing all the entire ecosystem. So if you want to figure out what the Believe app, when we were talking about it today, if you want to figure out what that is, check out our article right here. It'll break down exactly what it is and exactly what it's going to be. I was reading it a couple days ago, and it's phenomenal. We have so many other articles on here. Check them all out here. All you do is go to here at Ecosystem News and all that stuff for the Bitcoin news, and check all that stuff out. And if you guys need a VPN, I think everyone should have a VPN. Every single one of you guys should have a VPN. There's no reason not to. NordVPN is $3 a month. Use our link. It's 70% off. So it's like $10 a month. But with our link, it's $3. Like, it's stupid not to have one, guys. When you go to these websites, especially the ones in crypto, you're giving your IP to these people. They have your IP. They know exactly where you live. Your IP leads to your home address. Many people don't know that. So it's stupid not to have VPN. Every single one of you guys should have one. Even if you just leave it on the United States, it's still better than having it like show your exact location. Stupid. But get a Nord VPN through us. Make sure it's through us, guys, because I don't want you guys overpaying. So definitely check out our link there, and check out our store tab up here now. You click that. It'll pop you over to our Shopify. That is these numbers up top. And you just come down here. We have some most amazing stuff. Obviously, we have a lot of ordinal stuff, but we're starting to bring on some other stuff as well. We're going to have, some Bitcoin shirts, maybe some Ethereum shirts, and so on and so on. Check everything out here at onchainrevolution.io. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. Until tomorrow or Monday.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.